Chapter 382. This heard the sound transmission in the sea of consciousness. Chen Daoxuan's black-robed clone paused, turned his head to look at Jiang Taihao's position, and then thought of something. His facial muscles wriggled, turning into a middle-aged cultivator. Originally, he also wanted to take the risk to use a large formation to block the supply of spiritual energy to the 9 palaces of Sumeru, but now, it seems that he can take the risk. The black robe avatar flashed, and in the blink of an eye, it flew to the gathering place of the Jiang family cultivators. At the same time, in Gs Yancheng, many high-level formation wizards who heard Jiang Taihao's divine sense transmission flew over. Now that Gs Yancheng has been invaded by a powerful enemy, as Taizhou monks, they should fight the enemy together with the Jiang family. It has to be said that although the Jiang family can only cover the sky in Taizhou, their reputation among loose cultivators is not known to be much better than that of the Yi family in Sangzhou. Right now, Jiang Taihao only transmits voice to the whole city, and he can get so many high-level array masters to respond, which is evident. Jiang Taihao watched as the rays of light flew towards him, including cultivators from the Jiang family, as well as loose cultivators from the outside world. See. Jiang Taihao, the dignified true monarch Yuanying, actually bowed to everyone and said sincerely, "You masters have helped my Jiang family in times of distress. Jiang will never forget it." Seeing that Jiang Taihao's dignified Yuanying Zhenjuan actually treated all the cultivators with such courtesy, all the cultivators present felt a great honor. Jiang Zhenjuan is serious. Gs Yancheng is the largest immortal city in my Taizhou, how can others be invaded? That is. Friend Taoist said, how can I, a monk in Taizhou, be bullied by outside monks, not even a true monarch? Everyone was chattering and criticizing this unfamiliar true monarch who violated Jia immortal city. On weekdays, when they met true monarch Yuanying, they didn't even dare to breathe, but now they are following behind the Jiang family, but they can follow everyone to accuse a true monarch of Yuanying, which makes everyone feel a kind of true monarch. Such emotion. In the crowd, Chen Daoxuan's avatar in black robe quietly watched the scene of indignation in front of him and remained silent. Seeing Jiang Taihao stretch out his hand and press it down, Zhong Xiu's voice gradually softened. Masters, Jiang Taihao looked at everyone and said, you have all seen it, now that thief is using a formation to extract the spiritual energy of my Jiang family's spiritual veins to attack my Jiang family leader, such a rampant behavior, Gs Yancheng can't bear it. Therefore, I implore all the masters to take action together and cast the Great Spirit Sealing Formation to block the supply of spiritual energy from the spiritual veins to the formation. Heard. Everyone looked at each other. After a long while, a 5th-order low-grade array mage stood up. Everyone saw this thin, cyan-colored Taoist robe, and the 5th-order formation mage who was immortal wind and Taoist all gave way and bowed to him one after another. Master Qi. I've seen Master Qi. Master Qi. Amid the warm welcome from everyone, Master Qi flew to Jiang Taihao, bowed his hands and said, Jiang Zhenjuan, I think this formation is of an extremely high rank. I am afraid that an ordinary spirit sealing formation will not be effective, heard. Jiang Taihao frowned. He just sent a voice transmission to the whole city, and the main purpose was actually to ask for help from a few 5th-order formation mages. The array master surnamed Qi is one of them. Master Qi, isn't there anything you can do with your formation skills? Master Qi shook his head, difficult. The rank of this formation in the sky is high, at least above the 6th rank. If you want to block the transmission of spiritual energy, you must at least be a 6th rank spirit sealing formation. Not to mention whether the 6th order spirit sealing array can be arranged at the bottom, it is the array plate of the 6th order spirit sealing great array, and there is no such thing as the next. Master Qi said with a wry smile on his face. 6th order sealing spirit formation. Jiang Taihao frowned when he heard the words. His Jiang family did have a 6th order array, but in these arrays, there was no 6th order conferred spirit formation. When he was at a loss. Chen Daoxuan's black robe avatar stood up, and saw that he took out the array plate and a set of array flags from the storage ring, and said, Jiang Zhenjuan, fellow practitioners, please take a look. 6th Order Sealing Spirit Formation. Let me see, I have never seen a 6th Order formation. That's right, it's the 6th Order Fengling Great Formation. I've seen this formation in Yuzhou. While everyone was chatting, Jiang Taihao immediately stretched his brows, his face full of surprise. Thank you for this master's help. He glanced at Chen Daoxuan's face and found it a little strange. Dare to ask the master's surname? My surname is Chen. List. Jiang Taihao felt a little strange, but he didn't think about it for a while. Many Wanxinghai surnamed Chen had gone, not only the Chen family in Sangzhou, not to mention that the person in front of him looked like a loose cultivator. Jiang Taijun, it's not easy to arrange a 6th Order formation, we can't be too late. Hearing this, Jiang Taihao suddenly woke up and said, what the master said is good. After speaking, he looked at everyone again, I also ask you to help Master Chen arrange this formation together. After the enemy is destroyed, my Jiang family will definitely thank you. When the cultivators heard this, their expressions were as excited as if they had been beaten with blood. Abide by Jiang Zhenjun's decree. I will spare no effort in waiting. Count me in too. After a few words of courtesy, 7 5th Order formation masters flew out first. Among them, 3 were born in the Jiang family, and 4 were loose cultivators. They all flew towards Chen Daoxuan's black robe clone. The black robe clone was not stingy, and sent the array flag in his hand and the array jade slip with the 6th Order Fengling Great Array to the hands of the 7 5th Order array mages, saying, I also ask you to help me. Master Qi took the array flag and jade slip that Chen Daoxian handed over, smiled and cupped his hands. Fellow Daoist Chen, it's easy to say. The other 6 array mages also nodded to Chen Daoxuan's black robe clone, and then selected a group of people from among the many 4th Order array mages, and flew towards the main spiritual vein of the Jiang family. When the black robe clone saw this, he also specially selected a group of 4th Order array mages from the Jiang family, and flew in the direction of the main spiritual vein. The floating immortal island, inside the light curtain of the 9 palaces of Sumeru. Jiang Taiyuan laughed happily as he watched Chen Daoxian being submerged by the sharp blades of space. Chen Daoxian, you probably wouldn't have thought that such a talented person like you would die in my hands, Jiang Taiyuan? Jiang Taiyuan seemed to be winning, and the original disguise completely disappeared. This seat tells you that the most important thing in the world of cultivating immortals is to be cautious, but you are too sharp, and you know the details of your background, even if this seat is wrong in estimating your strength, but it does not affect the final beheading of you. How about you? Besides knowing that I am the head of the Jiang family, how much do you know about me? So today, you must die. Jiang Taiyuan looked at Chen Daoxian still sticking to the line of defense, and couldn't help being a little anxious, and began to use all kinds of trash talk to attack Chen Daoxuan's self-confidence, causing him to make mistakes in defense. You must know that in the face of the pear-like space strangulation attack of the rainstorm, any negligence of Chen Daoxian may cause the entire line of defense to collapse. And only relying on the 6th Order spirit armor can't stop so many space strangulation sieges. Perhaps a space blade would do little damage to Chen Daoxian wearing a 6th Order spirit armor, but under the cumulative offensive of countless space blades, it would definitely cause fatal damage to him. This is also the horror of the Jiugong formation. Moreover, this is because Jiang Taiyuan's cultivation is not enough, and he can't display more mysteries of the 9 palaces formation. Otherwise, Chen Daoxian will face more than just an attack like a mere spatial blade. Gu Hai, while Chen Daoxian controlled the 3 laws to resist the violent offensive, he turned a deaf ear to Jiang Taiyuan's psychological offensive. Jiang Taiyuan never thought that the whole card he prepared, which no one knew, was the last straw that killed him. Otherwise, with Jiang Taiyuan's strength, even if Chen Daoxian could defeat him, it would be difficult to kill him. Under the countless space strangulation attacks, Chen Daoxian could not dodge at all except to resist. As for teleport evasion, it is completely courting death. At this moment, within the shrouded range of the 9 palaces array, the space is like an extremely wrinkled piece of paper, not to mention the teleportation of space teleportation. It becomes extremely difficult for Qin Daoxian to manipulate the laws of space. Jiang Taiyuan's language attacked Qin Daoxian for a while, and seeing that he was unmoved, after sneering, he concentrated on controlling the formation, and stopped verbally harassing the other party. He knew in his heart that with Qin Daoxian's tenacity, he would never be shaken by his few words. The Jiang family masters the spiritual veins. Qin Daoxian's black-robed avatar raised his head, and while looking at the pillar of spiritual energy that shot straight into the sky, he instructed the Jiang family cultivator to set up the flag. It is quite difficult to arrange the 6th order formation, especially if you want to cut off the spiritual energy supply of the 7th order formation such as Shui Jiugong formation. Fortunately, Jiang Taiyuan's array master rank and cultivation base were not high, and he could not exert all the power of the Jiugong array within a few moments, otherwise Qin Daoxian would never be able to cut off the other party's aura supply. But now, a cultivator of the Qin family from the Jiang family flew towards Qin Daoxian excitedly and reporting to Master Qin, all the flags have been set up. Soon, the other 7 5th order array mages also rushed over, and they bowed to Qin Daoxian, Qin Daoyu, fortunately not to be humiliated. Master Qin, the banner is ready. Master Qin, my side is fine too. Daoyu Qin. Seeing the concerted efforts of many formation masters to finally complete the arrangement of this 6th order conferring spirit formation in less than a stick of incense, Qin Daoxian nodded with satisfaction. Okay, thank you for your hard work. At this time, Jiang Taihao also flew over, and bowed to Qin Daoxian's black-robed avatar. It's hard work for Master Qin and all the masters. Master Qin, please cut off the supply of spiritual energy quickly. It is good. The black-robe clone nodded. In the spotlight, the black-robe clone took out the array plate in his hand. This 6th order conferring spirit formation is one of his hands-on exercises after he broke through the 6th order array mage. He did not expect it to be of great use at this time. The black-robe avatar held the formation plate, pinched the spiritual art, and shouted, Fengling Great Formation. Get up. The words fall. On the Jiang family master's spiritual veins, rays of light burst out from the formation flags everywhere, and then these rays of light joined together, and finally converged on the formation plate in the hands of Qin Daoxian's black robe avatar. At the moment when all the rays of light converged, the aura column of the Jiang family's spiritual vein was instantly cut off. Great, it worked. Seeing this, Jiang Taihao's eyes showed a touch of excitement. He raised his head and looked at the 9 palaces that cut off everything in the sky. He prayed secretly in his heart, hoping that his actions could help the patriarch. Jiang Taihao, as the number 3 figure in the Jiang family, although he didn't know the extent of his own clan head's strength, he knew that his clan brother's strength far surpassed that of an ordinary late nascent soul cultivator. It should be all right. Jiang Taihao said silently. Impossible. Jiang Taiyuan looked at Qin Daoxian, who was strangled in the continuous space, holding a stick of incense. His face was full of disbelief. You must know that during this period of time, the space sharp edge in the 9 palaces formation has not been interrupted. Although these space sharp blades can't reach the level of the top true monarch, they are comparable to the attacks of the late nascent soul monks. In other words, Qin Daoxian actually resisted the time when a group of late nascent soul monks besieged a stick of incense. Jiang Taiyuan could clearly see that Qin Daoxian had to endure at least a dozen space sharpening attacks at every moment. He could actually block the time when more than a dozen late nascent soul monks were besieging a stick of incense. Jiang Taiyuan's eyes were full of disbelief. How could his mana be so powerful? Is this still a late Jindan cultivator? Die. I want you to die. Jiang Taiyuan was completely mad. He knew that Qin Daoxian must die today, otherwise, the next one to be destroyed must be him and the Jiang family. Oh, want me to die? Qin Daoxian, who had not spoken for a while, said, Jiang Taiyuan, I suggest you take a look below. Childish means. Jiang Taiyuan sneered, unmoved. But soon, the light curtain of the 9 palaces array swayed violently, killing the space blade in front of Qin Daoxian, leaving only 3. What happened? Jiang Taiyuan frowned, and then he couldn't help but look down. But what he saw next almost made Jiang Taiyuan so angry that he died on the spot. Who sealed the main spiritual vein of my Jiang family? Who? Jiang Taiyuan went completely crazy when he looked at the pillar of spiritual energy that was gradually thinning and even disappearing. The Jiugong formation has lost its energy supply for a moment, let alone maintaining the offensive. At this moment, the light curtain on the periphery can be kept from dissipating, and the rank of the formation is already high enough. Now, Su Jiugong array not only lost all means of attack, but turned into a cage. Wait, a cage? Jiang Taiyuan just thought of something, so he hurriedly grasped the spirit formula, wanting to revoke the formation. But what greeted him was a golden giant sword. Boom! An attack that was several times more terrifying than the previous destruction of Asgard sent Jiang Taiyuan's tiny figure flying out. And, at the position where he was attacked, a small void black hole slowly appeared. Boom! Jiang Taiyuan's body slammed into the light curtain of the Shui Jiugong array, and then was violently bounced off. But Qin Daoxian did not give the other party a chance to breathe. The laws of water and fire were instantly fused under the traction of the Heavenly Gang Sword Array and the power of the mind. Qin Daoxian has tried it. With his current Dao state, the combination of the 3 laws has the strongest attack power, followed by the 2 laws of water and fire, and then the 2 laws of air and fire. The weakest is air. The 2 laws of water are combined. At this moment, Qin Daoxian displayed his second strongest attack method. The reason why the 3 laws are not integrated is because the 3 laws of air, water and fire cannot be 100% integrated. Due to the existence of repulsive force, there will be a little delay before launching an attack. But obviously, Qin Daoxian did not intend to give Jiang Taiyuan a chance to breathe. Boom! 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 Jiang Taiyuan's figure was nailed to the light curtain of the Shui Jiugong formation. Before his figure was bounced off by the light curtain, another attack came to him. The continuous attacks made Jiang Taiyuan completely bewildered. At the beginning, he could still resist with his 5th rank high-grade spirit armor and his tyrannical physical cultivation, but soon Jiang Taiyuan found that he couldn't hold it anymore. What was even more disappointing was that because the restricted area of the 9 palaces array was too small, this space was completely disrupted, and Jiang Taiyuan couldn't even teleport to escape. Jiang Taiyuan never expected that his so-called trump card turned out to be the grave he dug for himself. Chapter 383. Boom! 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 The flying sword transformed by the laws of water and fire kept bombarding Jiang Taiyuan's body, pinning him to the light curtain of the formation, unable to move. With Qin Daoxian's non-stop attack, the laws lingering on Jiang Taiyuan's black spirit armor gradually couldn't support it. In the end, the pattern of the law on the spirit armor was dissipated by the direct bombardment of Qin Daoxian's flying sword, leaving the spirit armor completely exposed. Humph! Seeing this scene, Qin Daoxian snorted coldly, and his movements were not slow at all. The 3 fusion laws of water, fire, air, water, air, and fire took turns, bombarding Jiang Taiyuan non-stop. In an instant, Jiang Taiyuan's 5th order spirit armor was completely shattered. In the eyes of ordinary nascent soul true monarchs, the indestructible 5th order high-grade spirit armor is nothing compared to the top true monarchs whose fusion of the 2 laws has reached 100%. The slender immortal sword constantly penetrated Jiang Taiyuan's body, forcing the indestructible true meaning of his fleshly body to go out of his body. Only less than a few dozen breaths. Jiang Taiyuan's position became a piece of black mist. All these black mists were the inextinguishable true meaning that escaped from Jiang Taiyuan's body. Just when Jiang Taiyuan thought that he was about to die at this moment, because the Jiugong array had lost the aura support of the Jiang family master's spiritual veins, the array light curtain finally couldn't support it. Seeing the light curtain slowly dissipating, Jiang Taiyuan seemed to grab the last straw and laughed wildly. Ha, Chen Daoxian, you can't kill me. Chen Daoxian, who has been attacking, of course also noticed the situation of the formation light curtain. With a wave of his hand, a scroll of star maps unfolded in an instant, covering thousands of miles around. Immediately afterwards, a terrifying pressure pressed on Jiang Taiyuan's body. Not only that, Chen Daoxian displayed the space cage again, trapping Jiang Taiyuan in the space cage. Xingqian Kendo Map. Space cage. Give me the town. Chen Daoxian's eyes flashed with a forcing cold light. Jiang Taiyuan, you must die today. It seemed that he felt the despair of being imprisoned and unable to move, and he seemed to be shocked by Chen Daoxian's terrifying aura. At this moment, Jiang Taiyuan was stunned. Just when he was stunned, a golden giant sword slowly took shape in front of Chen Daoxian. Immediately afterwards, the golden giant sword cut through the sky, cut through the black mist, and slashed towards Jiang Taiyuan's body. Boom! With a violent explosion, a terrifying shock wave madly dissipated. Even with the suppression of the star's kendo map, the floating immortal island in this area was still twisted into powder. The Jiang family cultivator on the floating immortal island, I don't know how many lives were lost. But the battle between high-level monks is so cruel, and low-level monks are prone to encounter fights with gods and mortals. Fortunately, due to the double suppression of the star kendo map and the space cage, the damage to the space by the golden giant sword was not too great this time. The void black hole appeared for a moment, and it was completely repaired without causing more damage. Below, Jiang Taihao originally saw the formation of the light curtain dissipate, and laughed since the family grew up. He thought that he took action in time and helped his own clan head, but the next scene completely broke him. Damn it, just a little bit. Jiang Taihao deeply felt remorse. Although the formation light curtain only dissipated for a moment, he also clearly saw the scene inside the formation light curtain. Chen Daoxian had already driven his Jiang family head to a desperate situation, and the formation of the light curtain dissipated. It was a desperate situation. Unexpectedly, it was a step too late in the end. Chen Daoxian. Jiang Taihao flickered, soaring straight up, madly rushing straight towards Chen Daoxian. But the next moment, sword light flashed in the sky. Jiang Taihao fell towards the ground at a faster speed, and finally smashed into a huge sky pit in Jiesiancheng. Cough cough cough. Jiang Taihao stood up tremblingly from the Tiankeng, his eyes full of horror. How can you have such strength? You are obviously in the late stage of Jindan. Chen Daoxian slowly lowered his body and hung over the heads of everyone. He first glanced at the monks in Jiesiancheng. When the monks caught Chen Daoxian's eyes, they lowered their heads, and no one dared to look at him. Finally, Chen Daoxian turned his attention to Jiang Taihao. Jiang Taiyuan has already been put to death. Your Jiang family kidnapping my Chen family leader is over. He paused. Of course, if your Jiang family doesn't agree, you can come to Zhangzhou to find me at any time, and I'll be waiting for your Jiang family. Do you understand? Hearing this, Jiang Taihao almost clenched his teeth. But he didn't dare to resist. If Jiang Taihao was only one person, even if he died today, he would still be on the same level as Chen Daoxian. It's just that behind Jiang Taihao there is a huge family like the Jiang family, as well as countless clansmen. He had to swallow this breath. Jiang Taihao took a deep breath and cupped his hands towards Chen Daoxian. Jiang Taiyuan kidnapped the patriarch of the Chen clan privately, but my Jiang family doesn't know about it, so I would like to trouble Chen Jinren to kill this clan. At this time, Wan Xinghai and the Xianqing Dao League are fighting, and I hope that this matter will not affect the unity of the two of you and me. Hearing this, the surprised look on Chen Daoxian's face disappeared in a flash. This person. really can bear it. Immediately, Chen Daoxian said calmly, in this case, I will not disturb Jiang Daoyu to deal with the funeral, and leave. Say it. Chen Daoxuan's figure disappeared instantly. Seeing Chen Daoxian leave, the cultivators dared to breathe. Chen Daoxian was hanging above everyone's heads just now, and the pressure on everyone was too great. It is hard to imagine that this is the power possessed by a late Jindan cultivator. See this scene. Many scattered cultivators in Extreme Night Immortal City had other thoughts in their hearts. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that the Jiang family and the Chen family have forged a deadly feud. It's just that the Chen family took into account the overall situation of the war between Wan Xinghai and the Xianqing Taoist League, and did not completely kill the Jiang family. Otherwise, before the war between Wan Xinghai and the Xianqing Dao alliance is completely decided, the interior of Wan Xinghai will be in chaos first. Although Qin Zhan said that the matter of the Jiang family was fully handed over to Chen Daoxian had to sell Qianyuan Jianzong to a certain amount of face. After all, whether it is his Chen family or himself, it is far from being able to compete with Qianyuan Jianzong. Watching Chen Daoxian leave, Jiang Taihao put away the respectful look on his face, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. After a long while, he put away the cold light in his eyes, and the rest of the scattered cultivators saw Jiang Taihao's expression was wrong, and they all said goodbye to him, so that they did not dare to mention the rewards that the Jiang family had promised before. Until Chen Daoxuan's black-robed avatar also bid farewell to him, Jiang Taiyuan suddenly said to hold back, Master Chen, wait. The black-robed clone paused and frowned, I don't know what else the true monarch has ordered. Hearing this, Jiang Taihao sighed. I can see from this seat that Master Chen has done his best for today's matter, and the fall of my clan brother is really bad luck. Canopy Jiang Taihao felt extremely aggrieved when he thought that Jiang Taiyuan had escaped from the light curtain of the formation and was finally beheaded by Chen Daoxian. Otherwise, with his clan brother's accomplishments in the laws of space, even if he can't beat Chen Daoxian, he will have no problem escaping for his life. If you have something to say, please speak bluntly. Okay, Master Chen speaks quickly. Jiang Taihao paused, I want to hire Master Chen to serve as my guest secretary of the Chen family. I wonder what Master Chen thinks. King Qing. Chen Daoxuan's black robe avatar frowned. Master Chen, don't be too busy to refuse. Jiang Taihao said, and handed over a jade slip. This is the condition that my Jiang family set out for Master Chen to serve as a guest secretary, and I also ask Master Chen to take a look. After this battle, the biggest pillar of the Jiang family fell, and the Jiang family suddenly fell into a precarious situation. Jiang Taihao, as one of the only two remaining true monarchs of the nascent soul, had to think about the future of the Jiang family. Fighting recklessly with the Chen family, Jiang Taihao knew in his heart that this was a dead end. There is only Chen Daoxian in the Chen family, and the Jiang family is unstoppable. Although he briefly fought against Chen Daoxian just now, Jiang Taihao could feel that Chen Daoxian might not even be able to use 1/10 of his strength. He had a hunch that if the opponent made a full effort, he would be instantly killed by Chen Daoxian. The gap between the two sides is so huge. Now, the two true monarchs of the Jiang family are only in the middle stage of nascent soul, and the realm of the great Tao is almost the same. This kind of strength is really mediocre among the Yuanying cultivators, and it is impossible to compete with the top true monarchs like Chen Daoxian. Although Jiang Taihao is not very powerful, his vision is still very precise. He knew that for a long time to come, the Jiang family would live in the shadow of the Chen family. The high-level defensive formation was the greatest strength for the Jiang family cultivator to survive. This battle also made Jiang Taihao see the role of the high-level formation in the battle between the Yuanying monks. Although Jiang Taihao did not pin his hopes on defeating Chen Daoxian with the help of a high-level formation, Jiang Taihao still thought of using the high-level defensive formation to protect himself. As for the candidate for the 6th order defense formation, Jiang Taihao naturally preferred Master Chen, who had just broken the Jiugong formation. The black robe avatar took the jade slip handed over by Jiang Taihao, quickly glanced at it with his divine sense, and said, I can't refuse the reward offered by the Jiang family. Okay, I have Master Qin in my Jiang family, and you will be as stable as Mount Tai. Hearing this, Jiang Taihao was overjoyed. It's not bad for him to invest his money. You must know that the jade slip he just gave was not actually a treatment for Jiang Jia Keqing, but the salary that Jiang Taihao himself received in the Jiang family. But for the 5th order or even 6th order array mage in front of him, Jiang Taihao feels that it is very worthwhile. An island thousands of miles away from the immortal city of extreme night. Chen Daoxuan's figure appeared on the island. Not bothering to look at the environment of the island, Chen Daoxian sat cross-legged and immediately took out a small tower with cracks on its surface. This cave artifact obtained from the true immortal origin realm seems to be on the verge of being scrapped. Chen Daoxian couldn't care about this, and with a flash, he flew into the small pagoda cave. In the cave, a thin old man was sitting in a thatched hut in the valley. This old man is actually Chen Daoxuan's 13th uncle, Qin Xianhe. Looking at Qin Xianhe, who had few longevity and cloudy eyes, Chen Daoxian stepped forward in 3 or 2 steps, and immediately knelt down in front of the other party, saying with red eyes, Uncle 13, Daoxian is late. Hearing Chen Daoxuan's voice, Qin Xianhe was slightly refreshed, and a smile appeared on his dry face. He patted Chen Daoxuan's hand lightly, and said in a hoarse voice, Not too late, I am very relieved to see you before sitting down. Chen Daoxian seemed to think of something, and immediately took out a black orb-shaped Tai Shin Shui from the storage ring, and said happily, Uncle 13 wants to say that he is discouraged, what do you think it is? This is. Chen Xian's cloudy eyes revealed a trace of confusion. This thing is called Tai Shin Shui. It can help cultivators to purify their souls. With this thing, I can help you wash away the rotten spirit of your soul, Uncle 13, and build a foundation successfully. Build a foundation. When Qin Xianhe heard this word when he was sitting down, he undoubtedly felt like a dream. Throughout the ages, how many people have been able to break through the cultivation base and prolong their lifespan before they are about to sit down? Even if there are such monks, there are only a handful of them. Chen Daoxian didn't care about Chen Xian's thoughts, and took out all the foundation building suits of the Qin family cultivator. Uncle 13, this is the foundation establishment pill, this is the qi and blood pill for replenishing qi and blood, and this is the fortune-telling white lotus specially used by my Qin family's qi-refining cultivator to establish the foundation. Qin Xianhe looked at the fortune-telling white lotus in Chen Daoxuan's hand, and couldn't help but gently stroked it. As the head of the Qin family, Qin Xianhe certainly knew that the creation of the white lotus was a treasure that helped countless cultivators of the Qin family build their foundations. Can I really build a foundation? Qin Xianhe was a little overjoyed, but also a little frightened. No one is not afraid of death, even Qin Xianhe who is ready. But Qin Xianhe was more afraid of despair than death. Because Qin Xianhe had fallen into despair since he escaped from Zhenengguan under the desperate rescue of his clan brothers. After that, the Qin family was precarious, and Qin Xianhe lived in despair almost every day. But unfortunately, he is the head of the Qin family. He couldn't show the slightest despair in front of the clan, he had to endure, carry it, and describe to the clan how bright and hopeful the family's future was. Until Qin Daoxian appeared. The appearance of Qin Daoxian was the first time that Qin Xianhe felt that the Qin family really had hope. After that, Qin Daoxian grew the Qin family step by step, and brought the Qin family to the position of the largest clan in Sangzhou. So far, Qin Xianhe feels that he has no regrets in this life. Of course, it cannot be said that there are no regrets. After all, Qin Xianhe is also an immortal cultivator. Since he is a cultivator, it is impossible not to pursue the Tao. It's just that Qin Xianhe dedicated everything to his family in this life, and it was inevitable that he had some regrets at the end of his life. But Qin Daoxian told him at this time that he still had the possibility to build a foundation and seek the way. How can Qin Xianhe not feel panic? He took the treasure of Tai Shinshui from Qin Daoxuan's hands tremblingly, raised his head and said, "Can you really build a foundation?" "It really can build a foundation." Qin Daoxian smiled and nodded. "Good. Good. Good." Qin Xianhe wept with joy, tears streaming down his face. "Uncle 13, Daoxian protects the Dharma for you, and also ask Uncle 13 to build a foundation here." "Say it." Qin Daoxian took out a large amount of spiritual stones from the storage ring, and with a slight shock of mana, the spiritual stones disintegrated in an instant, and countless spiritual energy rushed out, filling the cave in an instant. If other cultivators saw Qin Daoxuan's prodigal behavior, they would probably yell at him. But Qin Daoxian didn't care at all. In order to build a foundation for Qin Xianhe, he even took out the Tai Shinshui that helped the Yuanying cultivator break through to the Yuanqin stage. What is a little spiritual stone? Chapter 384. Wan Xinghai, Qianyuan Jianzong Zongmen. Before the space teleportation formation, Fei Qinxue stood in the middle of Yuanying Jinjuan of Qianyuan sword sect, looking at the space teleportation formation in front of him like the stars arching the moon. At this moment, the audience was silent. Because at this moment, they want to welcome a heavyweight of Qianyuan Jianzong, Lin Wuzhenjuan. As the top true monarch who has been stationed at the frontier for hundreds of years, the reputation of Lin Wu true monarch is even greater than that of the Qianyuan sword sect master in Wan Xinghai. His reputation in the sect was even louder than Qin Zhan, Yi Yin, and others. No matter which faction they belong to, as long as they mention true monarch Lin Wu, they can't help but give a thumbs up, and a heartfelt respect surges up in their hearts. Coming. Concubine Qinxue stood in front of the big formation in full costume, her beautiful eyes moved slightly, and she said softly. Hearing this, everyone's expressions became more focused. Sure enough, at the next moment, the space teleportation formation suddenly lit up, and a giant space vortex appeared in front of everyone. When the space vortex dissipated, a burly figure first appeared in everyone's sight. Behind this burly figure, there are about 300 figures standing. All of these figures have a common feature, that is, they are all dressed in spirit armor, only showing their heads, exuding a chilling aura, and at first glance they are elites in 100 battles. Although there are more disciples of Qianyuan sword sect, but seeing these people, the momentum is suddenly weaker. The group of people behind Jinjuan Linwu's cultivation is uneven, there are Qi refining period, Jin Dan period, and nascent soul period. It seems that it should be a group of representatives specially selected by Lin Wuzhenjuan from the monks of different cultivation bases. Among these figures, especially the cultivators at the lower Qi refining stage and foundation building stage. When they were saluted by countless disciples of Qianyuan sword sect, they all couldn't help but straighten their chests, and a feeling of excitement and pride rippled in their hearts. Lin Wuzhenjuan strode forward, clasped his fists towards concubine Qinxue, and said loudly, "I'm a humble Lin Wu, see the sect master." "See sect master." Behind him, a uniform sound resounded through the sky. Concubine Qinxue showed a gentle smile on her beautiful face. She quickly stepped forward, lightly supported true monarch Lin Wu, and said sincerely, "Lin Wu, you've worked hard." Lin Wu raised his head and found that not only Fei Qinxue, but also Huyanqi, Yi Yin, and the masters of the various halls were all present to greet him. It can be said that the pomp and courtesy have been achieved to the extreme. True monarch Lin Wu bowed his hands again and said solemnly, "This is what a humble post should do." Fei Qinxue nodded and said nothing. Soon, a feast to welcome Lin Wuzhenjuan was held in Qianyuan Jianzong. With the return of Lin Wuzhenjuan's class to the sect, it heralds an unprecedented celebration ceremony, which will be held in the Qianyuan Jianzong sect. The banquet to welcome Jinjuan Lin Wu was held for 10 days before it stopped. However, the warm atmosphere in Qianyuan sword sect did not stop. on the contrary, there was an intensifying trend, because everyone knew that this time Qianyuan's sword sect won all the territory of Izumo, and they would be rewarded according to their military exploits. Next, is the celebration of the division of interests. How can everyone not get excited? At this moment, whether it is the disciples of the Qianyuan sword sect, or the major family forces and the most numerous loose cultivators attached to the Qianyuan sword sect, they all look eager to see. Qianyuan sword sect. Gu Xing in a large cave. Here, there are many immortal islands floating in the sky. Among them, there is a giant floating immortal island in the center. The huge palace group is looming in the clouds. In one of the fairy palaces. Father, when Lin Wuzhenjuan returned to the sect hall masters and elders were all rushing to visit and make friends with each other. Why are you unmoved? A young cultivator with a divine pattern between his eyebrows said eagerly, if Lin Wuzhenjuan is also a concubine. The young cultivator saw Yi Yin, who was wearing a purple robe, glanced at him lightly, his aura suddenly dipped, and he said embarrassingly, if Lin Wuzhenjuan was pulled over by the sect master and Qin palace master, then our life would be even worse. Yi Yin lightly fanned the incense burner in front of him, and the faint aroma of the concentrating incense suddenly filled the entire hall, which made people feel refreshed. You don't need to worry about befriending true monarch Lin Wu. Yi Yin paused, raised his head and looked at Yi Wudao, but there is one person, you can go and make friends with one or two. If you can do this, the status of Fichengsu and I in the sect, even it will flip right away. Who? Chen Daoxian. Yi Yin said lightly. Hearing the name, Yi Wudao was stunned for a moment, then his face twisted into a ball and his teeth clenched. He said in a loud voice, Father, even if I don't want to be shy and ask others in a low voice, is Chen Daoxian willing to accept us? You know, I offended him in the first place. Yi Yin shook his head. At that moment, now the whole territory of Izumo has been taken by our sect, and Fei Chenxue is even more in the sky, and she has Qin Zhan, a top-notch true monarch with great talent. Whether it is now or in the future, the general trend will be on Fei Chengxu's side. But is a Qianyuan sword sect master with absolute power really what the great immortal clans in Wanxinghai would like to see? Yi Yin looked at Yi Wudao. Don't forget, Chen Daoxian is also a family cultivator, and behind him is the Zhangzhou Chen family, a cultivator family. Hearing Yi Yin's words, Yi Wudao fell silent. Although he was not as talented as Qin Zhan and Chen Daoxian, and was very arrogant, he was not stupid. He knew that what his father Yi Yin said made sense. But, how can I meet Chen Daoxian? If I go to Chen's house now, I'm afraid Chen Daoxian will kill me. Yi Yin looked at Yi Wudao, who was strong on the outside and hard at work, and kept sighing in his heart, but said on his mouth, the next celebration ceremony is a good time. And, you also have enough reasons to visit each other. After all, Chen Daoxian recovered Senangwan. He is kind to you, and it is right for you to go to thank you. Hearing Yi Yin mentioning the black history that he felt most humiliating, Yi Wudao lowered his head deeply, and said, Yes, Dad. Zhangzhou. Twin Lakes Island. An escaping light flew towards Shuanghu Island at a high speed, and the defensive formation light curtain on the island seemed to be useless to this escaping light. Stop the light. Chen Daoxian smiled and said, Uncle 13, how does it feel to fly away after the foundation is established? Chen Xianhe succeeded in establishing the foundation, and his face returned to that of a middle-aged man, but his hair was still the same as before, silver-white. At this moment, Chen Ziyan's face was full of excitement, and he laughed loudly. This flying of the light is really different from the wind fighting technique. If you say that flying in the wind is to climb, then the flying of the light and the sword is to run. There is no comparison. For so many years, it was the first time Chen Daoxian saw such a relaxed and happy smile on Uncle 13's face. He also smiled and said, Go, Uncle 13, let's go home. Okay. Go home. There was a faint vibrato in Chen Ziyan's words. Chapter 385. Twin Lakes Island. Today's industrial zone on Shuanghu Island has already been relocated to Guanhai Xiancheng on Sequoia Island. In the former Shuanghu Island Industrial Park, a large experimental base has been built, such as the headquarters of Qin Jiading's famous Magical Instrument Research Institute, which is located here. The palace complex built around the Sun and Moon Lakes became the highest power center of the Qin family. Generally speaking, the Qin family's clan association and the promulgation of various policies are all in this palace group. Qiming Hall, the immortal hall where the Qin family held a clan meeting. On this day, the senior cultivators of the Qin family scattered in every corner of Cangzhou quickly rushed back to the home of the Qin family, Shuanghu Island. Before they could take a rest, they hurriedly flew to the Qiming Hall in front of the Sun and Moon Shuanghu. Boom thump thump dash, the melodious bells echoed in the palace complex, and the bells rang 9 times in total. A cultivator of the Qin family's purple house had a solemn expression, and while using his escape, he frowned at his companion beside him. 9 bells ring, I don't know what is so important in the clan. I don't know, the family suddenly called me to wait, could it be the young patriarch's class teacher back? Hearing this, the Zifu cultivator immediately became excited and said, the clan brother said very well, the young clan chief must be back. Well, as long as the young patriarch comes back, he will definitely give out this bad breath for my Qin family. The cultivator of the Zifu knew what the evil spirit in the mouth of the clan brother beside him was referring to. Qin Xianhe, the head of the Qin family, was kidnapped by the Jiang family in Taizhou. Although the matter was highly kept secret in the Qin family, it was claimed that Qin Xianhe was invited to the Jiang family to discuss the expedition of the Izumo kingdom. But people with discerning eyes know that this is where the Jiang family invited the Qin family patriarch, and it is clearly the old patriarch of the Qin family who was forcibly abducted by the Jiang family. For the past 6 months, the Qin family's prestige among the Cangzhou cultivators has been greatly reduced because of this. If it wasn't for Qin Daoxian leading the Cangzhou cultivators to seize the Jinan Pass and victorious on the front line, the position of the Qin family's Cangzhou first family would probably have been shaken. Even so, all the cultivators of the Qin family were filled with anger that could not be vented. The captivity of a clan chief is a great shame for any immortal clan, let alone the Qin family in Cangzhou. But the cultivators of the Qin family knew in their hearts that although the Qin family was known as the largest clan in Cangzhou, their strength was still far from that of the Jiang family in Taizhou. Not to mention the 3 nascent sole true monarchs who suppressed the clan movement in the Jiang family, even the low-level and middle-level cultivators, the Qin family were far from being able to compare with each other. In general, the Qin family, a rising star in Cangzhou, is far from the Jiang family, a top family that has been operating in Taizhou for thousands of years. If the Qin family had Qin Daoxian, a peerless genius, they would not be able to compare with the Jiang family. Even so, Jiang Taiyuan still dared to forcibly invade the Qin family and kidnap the old patriarch of the Qin family, which shows how arrogant and domineering the Jiang family is. Hearing this, the cultivator of the Qin family's purple house had a low tone, and shook his head. Even if the young patriarch comes back, it will not be easy to save the old patriarch. Although the young patriarch was strong, how could he be able to compete with the 3 nascent sole true monarchs? What's more, the young patriarch was still fighting in the Jiang family and had to deal with the various formations laid out by the Jiang family. Hearing this, the cultivator Zizi generation beside him also lowered his head. He knew that what the clan brother said was true. Although Qin Daoxian was an omnipotent existence in the eyes of the Qin family cultivator, the time for the Qin family to flourish was too short after all. It can't be compared with the immortal cultivators of the Jiang family, who have been entrenched in the sea of millions for many years. Before Qianyuan Jianzong ruled Wanxinghai, the Jiang family was already the top clan in Wanxinghai. There are even rumors that the Jiang family is a branch of the ancient immortals with a very long tradition in Xianyanzhu. Of course, this rumor has not been confirmed, and no one knows whether the Jiang family deliberately put gold on their face. But even if the Jiang family is not a branch of the ancient immortal clan, only by virtue of the Jiang family's own strength, in Wanxinghai, apart from the Qianyuan sword sect, it is the top family force. In addition, the Jiang family is in the camp of the third elder of Qianyuan sword sect, Yi Yin. Even if the Qianyuan sword sect master wants to move his Jiang family, he has to think about it. As for the young patriarch, the cultivator of the golden core stage. The two Zifu cultivators of the Qin family felt a little dejected when they thought of this, and their excitement was no longer the same. With a heavy heart, the two of them escaped to the highest center of the Qin family, the Hall of Qiming. Wait until the two are near. On the horizon, one after another, escaping light flew towards this place. The two Zifu cultivators looked at each other, and without exception, the Qin family cultivators in the sky were all above the Zifu period, and all of them were high-level cultivators of the Qin family. Moreover, the expressions on the faces of these senior Qin family cultivators and him were exactly the same, and they all had a calm face, as if others owed him millions of spiritual stones. More than half a year. The cultivator of the Qin family had this stern expression when he was outside. The other cultivators and loose cultivators in Sangzhou were aware of what happened to the Qin family, but no one dared to touch the Qin family cultivator at this time. Although the strength of the Qin family is not comparable to that of the Jiang family, in Sangzhou, it is the absolute number one family. Even the Zhou family of Guang'an Mansion, which was strong before, was far from being comparable to the current Qin family. Not to mention Qin Daoxian, the top powerhouse who suppressed the family movement, thanks to the large amount of vitality essence Qin Daoxian obtained from the true immortal origin realm, the strength of the senior cultivators of the Qin family far surpassed that of the Zhou family. This is also the fundamental reason why the Zhou family is willing to surrender to the Qin family. Otherwise, relying on Qin Daoxian alone, even if the Zhou family submits verbally, it is inevitable that they will do some things that go against the grain. Only the overall strength of the Qin family is strong, and other clan forces and loose cultivators in Sangzhou dare not neglect the orders of the Qin family. An hour later. Inside the Qiming Hall, a flash of light flew into the hall. Stepping into the hall, when everyone saw the figure beside the patriarch's throne, they could hardly believe their eyes. The family urgently recalled the senior cultivators in the family, and everyone guessed that it was the young patriarch who had returned to the family, so everyone was not surprised to see Qin Daoxian sitting on the throne of the patriarch. But to everyone's surprise, the one sitting in the first position on the lower left of Qin Daoxian was not Qin Daoyan, the acting patriarch of the Qin family, but the old patriarch of the Qin family, Qin Xianhe. Moreover, compared with Qin Ziyan's old age, they were surprised to find that the old patriarch actually succeeded in building the foundation. How is this going? Isn't the old patriarch kidnapped by the Jiang family? Why is he here? Could it be that the young patriarch rescued the old patriarch from the Jiang family? A Zifu cultivator guessed. Hearing this, someone immediately stood up and refuted, even so, how could the old patriarch suddenly build a foundation? This. The Purple Manor monk was speechless. Indeed, for the Qin family cultivator at this time, the scene in front of him was like a dream. The old patriarch, who has always been missed by everyone, has actually returned. Not only that, but the old patriarch, who was supposed to be nearing his lifespan, actually looked like a middle-aged cultivator at this time. It was obvious that the old patriarch had succeeded in building the foundation. While Qin Jia Zongxiu was extremely confused, he also had too many puzzles in his heart. Quiet. Seeing the high-level cultivators of the Qin family in the hall talking endlessly, Qin Daoyan, who was sitting on the right hand of Qin Daoxian, rebuked her. Qin Daoxian is not in the clan. Qin Daoyan acts as a representative of clan affairs, and has a reputation within the clan. When everyone heard the scolding, they all fell silent. They knew that when the young patriarch called everyone here, he would definitely give everyone a reasonable explanation. On the throne of the patriarch, Qin Daoxian looked at the high-level clan below, and said with a stern expression, "It's only been over a year since I saw each other, why are you all with your heads down?" Hearing this, everyone looked at each other, their cheeks flushed, and they all bowed and said, "Young patriarch, I am incompetent." Gu Fu, okay, the whole story, Dao Yan told me, it's not your fault. Hearing Qin Daoxuan's words, instead of feeling relieved, everyone felt more guilty. The dignified number 1 clan in Sangzhou was actually kidnapped by the patriarch within the clan. This kind of humiliation, no Qin family cultivator can endure. Qin Daoxian continued, but you should also take precautions and practice diligently in the future. I don't want the same thing to happen to the Qin family in the future. Yes. The crowd shook hands. After talking about this, Qin Daoxuan's face relaxed and he said with a smile, as you can see, the old patriarch has successfully established the foundation, and the Jiang family patriarch Jiang Taiyuan has also killed me. What? The ancestor of the Jiang family is dead? Qin Daoxuan's words made the hall completely fried. You must know that although everyone does not know the strength of Jiang Lao's top true monarchs, the background of the Jiang family's 3 nascent soul true monarchs is well known in Wanxinghai. With such a top-notch family strength, the other's patriarch was killed by Qin Daoxian in the family residence. From this, it can be seen how tyrannical the young patriarch is. Although when Zhenangwen was recaptured before, there were rumors that Qin Daoxian beheaded a late Yuanying monk of the Xianqing Dao League. But firstly, everyone did not see with their own eyes how Qin Daoxian fought with the Yuanying Zhenjuan of the Xianqing Dao League. Second, such rumors have always been exaggerated. The cultivator of the Qin family is only as powerful as the young patriarch of his own family, and is comparable to the true monarch Yuanying. But they never imagined that Qin Daoxian could actually kill the Jiang family leader in the Jiang family land. This kind of thing, I am afraid that even the top nascent soul true monarch may not be able to do it, right? Everyone guessed. It is conceivable that with the death of Jiang Taiyuan, the head of the Jiang family, in the hands of Qin Daoxian, what kind of waves will be caused in Wanxinghai next? This thing is a mixed bag. The advantage is naturally that the Zhangzhou Qin family has established a strong prestige in front of all the forces in Wanxinghai. In the future, as long as Qin Daoxian lives for one day, no one will dare to bully the Qin family. And the disadvantages are obvious. Qin Daoxuan's move to kill Jiang Taiyuan, although he gave a bad breath to the Qin family cultivator and boosted the Qin family's prestige, but at the same time, Qin Daoxuan's move can be regarded as breaking the rules of Qianyuan Jianzong. If someone attacked Qin Daoxian at the next meritorious ceremony for this matter, it would probably bring Qin Daoxian a lot of trouble. After all, Wanxinghai is not a place of chaos, but is under the rule of Qianyuan sword sect. Unless the Qin family and Qin Daoxian have the strength to overthrow the reign of Qianyuan Jianzong in one fell swoop, it would be unwise to fight against Qianyuan Jianzong. This is also the reason why there is not much excitement on the faces of Qin Daoyan and others. Qin Daoyan has been in charge of the Qin family in place of Qin Daoxian for so long, and she has instinctively considered issues from the family's point of view. Although Qin Daoxuan's move relieved his anger, he did cause a lot of trouble. Thinking of this, Qin Daoyan couldn't help turning his head to look at Qin Daoxian. Qin Daoxian sensed Qin Daolian's gaze and smiled at her. Seeing the smile on Qin Daoxuan's face, for some reason, Qin Daoyan suddenly felt that it was no big deal. It seems that in the hands of the young patriarch, even if it is a big thing, it is only a small matter. Seeing that the discussion in the hall gradually subsided, Qin Daoxian continued, to call you back today, there are 2 main things. The first thing is to participate in the Qianyuan Sword Sect celebration ceremony a month later. The second thing is ancestor worship. Having said that, Qin Daoxian took out a head from the storage ring. The eyes on this head were full of incredible colors. It was the head of the real Yinjiu, the guard of the Xianqing Dao League at Zhenangwen. The other Qin family cultivators didn't react when they saw the head of the real Yinjiu, but Qin Xianhe stood up suddenly. He walked to Qin Daoxian step by step, took the head tremblingly, and muttered, "This is." Qin Daoxian nodded, "This is the main general of the Xianqing Dao League who broke the Zhenan Xiancheng, the head of the real Yinjiu, heard." Qin Xianhe burst into tears and was speechless for a while. After a long time, Qin Xianhe held the head of immortal Yinjiu and choked, big brother, seventh brother, your great revenge must finally be avenged today. Qin Daoxian and everyone in the Qin family quietly looked at Qin Xianhe, who was weeping. An indescribable emotion stirred in everyone's chest. The feeling of getting revenge for a great revenge makes Qin Xianhe happy far more than the success of foundation building. Qin Xianhe has been holding back this tone for nearly 80 years. It can be said that he has lived in torment almost every day for more than 80 years, and only at this moment can he truly reconcile with himself. Although Qin Daoxian had never seen the 13 immortal elders who passed away, under the Chun Chun guidance of Qin Xianhe, he also admired these 13 immortal elders in his heart. Qin Daoxian has always felt that as long as the Qin family survives, even without him, one day, the Qin family will slowly rise in the world of immortality. And his arrival only shortened the process of this rise quickly. For a while, the hall was silent. After an unknown amount of time, Qin Xianhe slowly adjusted his mood. He walked up to Qin Daoxian and stood side by side with him, holding his head in one hand, grabbing Qin Daoxuan's right hand in the other, looking around the crowd, and said, "Today, the senior members of the clan are all there. Identity, announcing one thing." Hearing this, all the cultivators of the Qin family sat up. Qin Xianhe paused. "I, Qin Xianhe, the fifth patriarch of the Qin clan, today passed the family patriarch to Qin Daoxian." Although Qin Xianhe has long since handed over the management of the family to Qin Daoxian with full authority. And he himself has proposed more than once that the position of the family patriarch should be passed on to Qin Daoxian. But Qin Daoxian was afraid that Qin Xian Hechuan would be behind him, and the last concern in his heart would be gone, so he never agreed. But today, Qin Xianhe once again proposed to pass it on to him, and Qin Daoxian really had no reason to refuse. Otherwise, it would be irresponsible to all the cultivators of the Qin family. This moment, all the cultivators held their breaths, and all the Qin family cultivators stared at Qin Daoxian attentively, with a faint light in their eyes. I, Qin Daoxian, a cultivator of the Qin family's Taoist generation, here today, officially take over as the sixth patriarch of the Qin family. You all learn from the world. Qin Daoxian straightened his body and said solemnly. Hearing this sentence, the cultivators of the Qin family all cried with joy. Without exception, they all knelt down towards Qin Daoxian and shouted. "Meet the patriarch! Meet the patriarch! Meet the patriarch!" The shouts came from outside the palace, tearing the sky apart. At this point, the Qin family has completely entered the Qin Daoxian era. Chapter 386. Twin Lakes Island. A quiet room. On the futon, a figure sat quietly. After pondering for a moment, Qin Daoxian first took out a small tower full of cracks. He looked up and down the small tower and finally determined that this cave artifact was almost on the verge of collapse. This unknown Dongtian artifact was obtained by Qin Daoxian from a Jiang family cultivator in the true immortal origin realm. Speaking of which, the grade of this Dongtian artifact is no longer worthy of Qin Daoxuan's current strength and status. But he had been busy before to recover Zenangguan and capture Taishin Shui. The instruments on his body, in addition to various instruments used for combat, other auxiliary instruments such as storage rings, alchemy furnaces, and Dongtian instruments, hardly had time to replace them. In addition, Qin Daoxuan's demand for Dongtian magic tools is not too high, and this matter has been delayed. But it has to be said that it is much more convenient to have a magic weapon in the sky and carry relatives when walking outside. Especially when Qin Daoxian is fighting against other top true monarchs, the Dongtian magic weapon can effectively protect relatives. In this way, Qin Daoxian fought against Jiang Laozu before, and it was because of the protection of this small cave in the sky that Qin Xianhe was not affected by the aftermath of the battle. However, after Qin Zhan pushed the Emperor Yubel in it, this Dongtian artifact was severely damaged. In addition, Qin Xianhe built the foundation in his cave, and Qin Daoxian injected a lot of spiritual energy into it regardless of the consequences, which made this cave artifact even worse. So far, this small tower has come to the brink of collapse. Chen Daoxian didn't dare to let anyone into it anymore. Shaking his head, Chen Daoxian put this small tower into the storage ring and no longer thought about it. As for the Dongtian artifact, he can go to Qianyuan Jianzong's refining hall to buy one, which is not a big problem. Chen Daoxian was more interested in the harvest from Jiang's family than the damaged cave artifact. Chen Daoxian had never imagined that the ancestor of the Jiang family could actually possess a 7th-order magic weapon. And it is not an ordinary 7th-rank low-grade magic weapon, but a 7th-rank middle-grade magic weapon, which makes Chen Daoxian unbelievable. It stands to reason that although the strength of the Jiang family is not weak, it is absolutely impossible to master the treasure of the 7th-order magic weapon. You must know that the instruments used by Yuanshan Daojun are usually only 6th order. The 7th order magic weapon is the exclusive magic weapon of the Heavenly Venerate Transcendence Tribulation. Chen Daoxian actually has a 7th order magic weapon, the Heavenly Secret Talisman, but strictly speaking, the Heavenly Secret Talisman is not a complete 7th order magic weapon. Why does Jiang Taiyuan have a 7th order magic weapon in his hand? Chen Daoxian raised his head and frowned. Could it be that the Jiang family is really a branch family of which ancient immortal clan in Xianyun continent? He was not afraid because of this. Even if the Jiang family was a branch of an ancient immortal clan in Xianyun continent, after countless years, this so-called ancient immortal clan had never seen him come to find his Jiang family. This kind of thing is not surprising in the circle of the Shouxian family. For example, a cultivator of the Chen family was stranded abroad, and it was difficult to return to the family. As a result, branches and leaves spread out in the outside world, and after several generations or even dozens of generations of development, a new family was formed. In theory, this new family and the ancestors of the Chen family will not have any involvement. Even the Chen family would not know that there is a branch of the Chen family in the outside world. The situation of the Jiang family is very likely to be like this. Otherwise, it is impossible for this so-called ancient immortal race to not care about the life and death of the Jiang family for so many years. Because the Jiang family is strong, but it has not been smooth sailing all the way in Wanxinghai. Let's not talk about it. Let's say that thousands of years ago, the Qianyuan sword sect unified the Wanxinghai battle, and the Jiang family was in a precarious battle. Speaking of which, the brutality of that war was no less than that of the Izumo War. But even so, the main line behind the Jiang family has no intention of coming forward. It can be seen that the existence of the Jiang family may not be known to this so-called ancient immortal clan at all. There is another possibility. What Chen Daoxian thought, that is the ancestor of Wanxinghai Jiang's family. It is probably because he stole some kind of treasure of this ancient immortal clan, so he did not dare to contact the main line. Immediately, he thought of the 7th order mid-rank array plate that appeared in Jiang Taiyuan's hands inexplicably, and felt more and more that this guess was justified. Whether my guess is right, you can tell at a glance. Chen Daoxian turned his gaze to the red storage ring in his hand. On the storage ring, a miniature dragon-shaped relief was entwined and circled. This storage ring is the trophy left by Chen Daoxian after beheading Jiang Taiyuan. In the previous battle, if Chen Daoxian had not kept his hand when he cast his last sword, this storage ring would have been wiped out long ago. Take a deep breath. Chen Daoxian used his divine sense to erase the imprint of the divine soul left by Jiang Taiyuan. Although Jiang Taiyuan's spirit is far stronger than Chen Daoxian, fortunately Jiang Taiyuan is dead, and the imprint of his spirit on the storage ring is only rootless duckweed. It only took Chen Daoxian more than a day to wipe out the imprint of the soul on the storage ring. The next day. After erasing the soul imprint on the storage ring, Chen Daoxian couldn't wait to recover his consciousness, so he couldn't wait to invade the storage ring. At first glance, Jiang Lao's storage ring is much wider than the one in Chen Daoxian's hand. Of course, the advantage of a larger storage space is nothing, and with Chen Daoxian's current strength background, he will not superficially value the size of the storage space. Because no matter how many ordinary resources, to him, they are nothing more than numbers. And for the precious resources that are useful to true monarch nascent soul, it is impossible that his storage ring cannot fit. Therefore, for a high-level cultivator like Yuaning Zhenjuan, as long as there is enough storage ring, there is no need to blindly seek larger storage space. Chen Daoxuan's consciousness swept over the items in Jiang Taiyuan's storage ring one by one. In the storage ring, all kinds of treasures, such as magical instruments, medicinal pills, and spiritual stones, were skipped by Chen Daoxian one by one. Among them, he also found a lot of blood marrow and inextinguishable true meaning in Jiang Taiyuan's storage ring, but he did not find one thing. What about the power of creation? Why is there no power of creation? Chen Daoxian looked surprised. As a top true monarch, although Jiang Taiyuan's strength background cannot be compared with Qin Zhan, but in terms of wealth, Jiang Taiyuan, as the helm of the Jiang family, should not be much poorer than Qin Zhan. Even if Jiang Taiyuan couldn't compare to Qin Zhan in terms of the power of good fortune, he would never be without it. You must know that even an ordinary nascent soul true monarch of the Xianqing Dao League has dozens or even hundreds of drops of the power of good fortune in his hands, but Jiang Taiyuan, the top true monarch, doesn't even have a drop. This really doesn't make sense. Could it be that? Chen Daoxian took out the only 7th-order mid-grade array disc in Jiang Taiyuan's hand from the storage ring, the Shui Jiugong array. Gu Wu, unless Jiang Taiyuan used all the power of creation to promote magic weapons, such as this. Chen Daoxian looked at the array plate in his hand and the array flags circling around the array plate, and he became more and more certain of his guess. This time Jiang Taiyuan kidnapped Qin Xianhe. In Chen Daoxuan's view, there are too many doubts. As a person of Jiang Taiyuan, one should not bet in advance before Qianyuan Jianzong and Xianqing Dao alliance have not completely decided the winner. This is neither in line with Jiang Taiyuan's character nor in the interests of the Jiang family. Unless the Xianqing Dao League gave some bargaining chips that Jiang Taiyuan could not refuse. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian thought of his guess just now that the ancestor of the Jiang family might have taken some treasures from the main line of the Jiang family, so he never dared to contact the main line. The treasure of the Jiang family's main vein, the treasure of the Xianqing Dao League, is there any connection between the two? Chen Daoxian frowned. Immediately, a light flashed in his mind. Heavenly secret talisman. Magical artifact components. Chen Daoxian looked at the array pan magic weapon in his hand. Could it be that Xianqing Dao Alliance gave Jiang Laozu the array flag component of this array pan? However, Jiang Taiyuan's storage ring doesn't have the power of good fortune at all, so what should be the explanation? Chen Daoxian thought for a while, then shook his head again. No, this idea is wrong, it's not a 7th-order array disc. Since it wasn't this 7th-order magic weapon, what kind of treasure could it be that Jiang Taiyuan would risk his life? Chen Daoxian tapped the array plate in his hand lightly, and began to recall the Jiang family's actions over the years little by little in his mind. Originally, the blood crystals abundant in Taizhou were digested internally by the Jiang family, and only the ones that could not be digested internally would the Jiang family sell it to the outside world. Therefore, blood crystals in Taizhou have always been very precious. But when Chen Daoxian went to the Jiang family's GS Yanqing for the first time, he found that the result was not as rumored. Although the blood crystals in Taizhou are precious, the Jiang family is selling them out, and the only requirement of the Jiang family is spiritual stones. Immediately, Chen Daoxian remembered that when Zhou Mingho crossed the Jindan Thunder Tribulation, the Jindan real person in Yuanshan Xianqing mocked Jiang Zui, the late Jindan cultivator of the Jiang family. It seemed that the Jiang family was very short of money. The money here is naturally different from ordinary money, and it should also refer to the spirit stone. In this way, the Jiang family seems to be very lacking in spirit stones. However, the Jiang family is a Taizhou hegemonic force, and the resources of the entire Taizhou are left to the Jiang family to ask for. How can they be short of spirit stones? You must know that the function of the spirit stone, in addition to improving the rank of the spirit vein, is only the function of extracting the power of creation. As for the spiritual energy needed for cultivators to cultivate, they generally do not directly absorb the spiritual energy in the spiritual stone. The most precious thing in the spirit stone is not the aura, but the power of creation wrapped in the aura. Although this power of creation is small, it has the special power to turn corruption into magic. This is especially true for Qin Dao Xian. With the help of the Star Sword Dao map, Qin Dao Xian can even directly improve his Dao Law realm by using the power of creation. Such a perverted function is comparable to the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic. Spiritual Stone, Power of Creation, 7th Order Mid-Grade Array Disc Magic Weapon. Gradually, a bold guess emerged in Qin Daoxuan's heart. Could it be that the Jiang family has mastered a special method to extract the power of creation from the spirit stone? Thinking of this, Qin Daoxuan's heart beat violently. For a long time, the lack of the power of creation has seriously hindered the improvement of Qin Daoxuan's strength, otherwise, he might have stepped into the world now. Qin Dao Xian painstakingly searched everywhere in the Xianqing Dao League realm, but only raised the 2 Dao laws to the high level of the realm of laws. Afterwards, it was he who had the cheek to borrow money from Qin Zhan, which in one fell swoop raised his strength to the level of a top true monarch. Speaking of it now, he still owes Qin Zhan a huge sum of money, 2,300 drops of the power of creation, not as simple as 3 billion spirit stones. In terms of value, 2,300 drops of the power of good fortune cannot be exchanged for 230 billion spiritual stones. Although it only takes 1 million spirit stones to extract a drop of the power of creation, it would take an ordinary nascent soul true monarch to work hard for a year. This value alone is worth hundreds of millions of spirit stones. Moreover, there are very few true monarch nascent soul who would be this coolly for the sake of just a few spirit stones, extracting the power of good fortune for others. The power of creation extracted by the true monarch Yuanying is usually used as an equivalent exchange for high-level monks, except for his own use. As for things like spirit stones, the only use for high-level monks is to serve as a raw material for extracting the power of creation. If the Jiang family really mastered the special method of extracting the power of creation from the spirit stone, the significance of this is too great. The role of the power of creation is far more than just raising the rank of instruments. In fact, it can not only improve the rank of spiritual veins and magical instruments, but also improve the rank of various spiritual roots and spiritual objects of heaven and earth. The difference is only the amount of the power of creation. Generally speaking, the power of good fortune required to improve spiritual roots and other spiritual things is too much, and few people do it. The power of fortune used to enhance spiritual veins and instruments is relatively small. Especially to improve the rank of the spiritual vein, you don't even need to extract the power of good fortune. Just put down the spiritual stone according to a special formation, and the spiritual vein will automatically extract the power of good fortune from the spiritual stone. Now, Qin Dao Xian couldn't hold back his excitement any longer, and frantically rummaged through Jiang Taiyuan's storage ring. This moment, Qin Dao Xian hated why Jiang Taiyuan's storage ring had such a large storage space, and there were too many items in it. Even with Qin Daoxuan's huge consciousness, searching is not an easy task. Of course, Qin Dao Xian was not just looking for it. What he was mainly looking for in the storage ring were 2 kinds of things, jade slips and instruments. Qin Dao Xian felt that the treasures that Jiang Laozu had hidden to extract the power of creation were either a special method or a special magic weapon. Qin Dao Xian himself is more inclined to special methods. Because of the mastery of the method, Qin Dao Xian can continue to copy, thereby continuously expanding the production capacity of extracting the power of creation. And there is only one magic weapon, and it is much more difficult to copy it. Qin Dao Xian began to look for one by one among Jiang Taiyuan's pile of magical instruments. As the head of the Jiang family, Jiang Taiyuan has a lot of instruments in his storage ring. Qin Dao Xian, as the head of the Qin family, naturally knows why the other party has so many magical tools in the storage ring. Because Jiang Taiyuan is not only the head of the Jiang family, but also the most powerful person in the Jiang family. Generally speaking, the patriarch of the Xiuxian clan keeps a part of the clan treasury in case the clan encounters a strong enemy, and the clan treasury is taken over by the enemy. But now it seems that part of the Jiang family's family library has fallen into the hands of Qin Daoxian. With the constant rummaging, Qin Daoxian finally found a special item in a pile of low-level magic tools. This is Chapter 387. Shuanghu Island, Magical Instrument Research Institute. Is this the thing? Qin Daochu looked at the big cauldron in disbelief. Yes, that's it. Qin Daoxian nodded. The big cauldron in front of me is about zhang high and supported by 3 legs. There are 6 exits on the top left of the cauldron. What's even more amazing is that although this big cauldron is a magic weapon, it is only a mere 4th order, so that Qin Daoxian ignored it when he was looking for Jiang Taiyuan's storage ring. Qin Daochu stared blankly at the big cauldron in front of him, and his heart was surging. Patriarch, you mean that with it in the future, our Qin family will continue to gain the power of creation? Heard. Qin Daoxian first nodded, and then shook his head again. It's impossible to talk about the endless stream, although this cauldron can extract the power of good fortune by itself. Compared to the accurate extraction of Yuanying Jinjuan, this cauldron extracts a drop of good fortune. It takes about 10 million spirit stones. 10 times? 10 times. But that's not much. Qin Daochu spread his hands and said. Although Qin Daochu only had a cultivation base in the Zifu period, he also knew that the preciousness of the power of creation was not in the raw materials such as spirit stones, but in the high-level labor force of Yuanying Jinjuan. Now with this big cauldron, even if the raw materials cost 10 times more, it will be a big profit for the Qin family. Qin Daoxian owed Qin Zhan 2,300 drops of the power of good fortune, and it would take 2,300 years to extract the power of good fortune by ordinary Yuanying Jinjuan. I am afraid that a true monarch nascent soul will not be able to extract so much power of creation after exhausting his lifespan. And its raw material is only 3 billion spirit stones. What is this spirit stone compared to exhausting a nascent soul true monarch for a lifetime? Even if this cauldron is used, the raw materials are increased tenfold, and it will only be 23 billion spirit stones. And 23 billion spirit stones are nothing to the Qin family, the first family in Sangzhou. Today, the Qin family's Guanhai Xianqing has fully completed the industrialization of weapon refining, alchemy, and talisman making. The 9 major industrial areas of Guanhai Xianqing can produce a large amount of resources such as elixir, magic tools, and charms every day. In the more than a year that Qin Daoxian led the Zhangzhou monks to recover Zhenengguan, the Qin family not only launched a comprehensive cooperation with Yuanqin Xianqing, but also opened up the cooperation between Zhangzhou and Jinan Xianqing. You must know that although Jinan Xianqing is only a ferry city, it is now a logistics supply ferry city for Qianyuan Jianzong to attack Xianqing Dao League. During the period of war between the two sides, a large amount of materials were transported to the front line via Jinan Xianqing every day. Among the supplies of military supplies, the Qin family's materials accounted for a relatively high proportion. With Qin Daoxuan's prestige in the Jinan army and the credit he made when he recovered Zhenengguan, the Qin family took advantage of this, and naturally no one would object. After all, the other Jindan real people in the Jinan army are not fools. Who would rush to offend a peerless genius like Qin Daoxian? What's more, the military resources shipped to the front line are very huge, and the family behind them, the Jindan cultivators alone, can't eat it at all. Then, in the more than a year when Qianyuan Jianzong attacked the Xianqing Taoist League, the Qin family made a lot of money, even more than 10 times more than the income of Qin Daoxian looting the Xianqing Taoist League transportation line. Because Qin Daoxian looted the Xianqing Dao League transport ship, the purpose was not the materials on the spirit boat, but to attack the logistics transportation of the Xianqing Dao League. This is naturally incomparable with the Tsangzhou Merchant Alliance, which continuously transports supplies to the front line. In the Tsangzhou Merchant Alliance, the Qin family's production capacity of elixir, magic tools, and amulets far exceeds the sum of the other families in Tsangzhou, and even more than 10 times the sum of their sums. This is the charm of industrial production. As Qin Daoxuan's strength became stronger and stronger, the terrifying productivity that broke out after the industrialization of the Qin family finally had its place. Unlike before, for fear of being robbed by other forces. With Qin Daoxuan's strength and potential, even Qianyuan Jianzong did not dare to act rashly when facing the Qin family. Qin Daoxian was surrounded by nearly 100 Yuaning true monarchs, and he went in and out from the Qingwei Dao faction. One can imagine how difficult he was. Although the Qianyuan sword sect was stronger than the Qingwei Taoist faction, there were only a large number of nascent soul true monarchs who were stronger in the loose cultivators. The two sides really need to compare the number of top true monarchs, and Qianyuan Jianzong really can't take advantage of the Qingwei Taoist faction. Qin Daoxian was able to get in and out of the Qingwei Dao school. In theory, it was not a big problem to get in and out of the Qianyuan sword sect. How could Qianyuan Jianzong dare to offend such a character? Strength is the most powerful weapon to protect one's own wealth. Qin Daoxian understood this truth when he first set foot in the immortal city of Guang'an Mansion. It's not much to extract a small amount of the power of creation, Qin Daoxuan's words changed, but the power of creation I need will be very much. Immediately. Qin Daochu seemed to think of something, and said with a little excitement, "Patriarch, are you going to break through to the world?" Today's Qin family cultivators have long been different from the past in terms of their understanding of cultivation. Although Qin Daochu's cultivation base and realm are very low, he knows the changes in the cultivation base and realm of monks from low level to high level. Unlike other families, the Qin family clearly does not understand the cultivation bases and realms of various levels, and it also pretentiously knows too much about the mood of the monks, which is not conducive to cultivation. Qin Daoxian never believed in such nonsense. Just knowing the names and characteristics of the monk's different cultivation bases and realms in advance will have an impact on the monk's state of mind, so the monk doesn't need to practice. In such a rotten state of mind, you still practice ass. On the contrary, Qin Daoxian believes that understanding different levels of cultivation and Dao realm in advance will allow the monk to have a clear understanding and positioning of the path he will take in the future. For example, when Qin Daoxian first embarked on the road of sword repair, he was ignorant of this road, so he suffered a big loss. Although he got a little bit of kendo inheritance from Zhou Mubai, but now in his opinion, this kendo inheritance is full of mistakes. Of course, it's not Zhou Mubai's fault. After all, Zhou Mubai's ancestors didn't have any high-level cultivators. Back then, the Zhou family only had 1 or 2 Jindan cultivators, which was hundreds of years ago. Therefore, when Qin Daoxian first realized the sword intent, he took a long detour. This kind of thing does not exist on the disciples of Qianyuan Jianzong. Whether it is Qin Zhan or Qi Yao, the sword intent they comprehend is either space sword intent, time sword intent, or other 5-element sword intent. There is no such thing as branching sword intent at all. For the Qin family back then, if the family could produce a sword cultivator, it was already smoke on the ancestral grave. Who knew that there was a difference between sword intentions? As Qin Daoxuan's strength became stronger and stronger, the Qin family became more and more powerful. Now the cultivators of the Qin Jiafu generation and Zizi generation not only clearly understand the distinction between sword intent, but also know the detailed characteristics and precautions of different cultivation bases and various Dao realms. If any of them are expected to embark on the path of sword cultivation, they will try to comprehend the complete sword intent with the help provided by the family, rather than comprehend the branched sword intent. Guyun, of course, it does not mean that with the help of the family, the Qin family cultivator will definitely understand the complete sword intent. No one can guarantee this kind of thing. But it is 1,000 times stronger than Qin Daoxuan's blind man touching the elephant. As far as Chen Daoxian knew, the Qianyuan sword sect had no definite way to ensure that the disciples of the sect could 100% comprehend the complete sword intent. The method adopted by Qianyuan Jianzong is basically similar to the method of the Qin family. They are all through cultivating more sword tactics of the same attribute, accumulating continuously, and increasing the probability of comprehending the complete sword intent. From Qin Daoxuan's point of view, the only power that can guarantee that the monk will understand the complete sword intent is the inheritance he accepted in Wan Xinghai. When he first comprehended the spatial sword intent, he only learned dozens of spatial sword techniques, and then he realized the complete spatial sword intent. The whole process was smooth and there were no surprises. And when Chen Daoxian understood the fire Xing sword intent, he didn't know how many swordsmanships he had practiced, but he was just short of the door. It can be said that if Chen Daoxian hadn't had the plug-in Hongmeng enlightenment of Taoism, he would definitely have realized the failure of the fire Xing sword intent at that time. Wan Xinghai inherits this kind of thing. Chen Daoxian can't guarantee that every cultivator of the Chen family can enjoy it for the time being. After all, even if he uses treasures such as enlightenment tea to enter the inheritance space through the back door, the follow-up cultivator lacks comprehension and will be eliminated sooner or later. Of course, this is also a way to increase the number of seed monks in the family. In Wan Xinghai, many large immortal clans rely on this method to let their elite juniors understand the first sword intent. And once this kind of sword intent is understood, it must be a complete sword intent, and there will be no surprises. The Qin family also intends to cultivate the elite descendants of the family in the future. The reason why Chen Daochu said that Chen Daoxian is about to break through the world realm is precisely because of his understanding of the realm of the monk's avenue. The monk's practice, from low level to high level. From the perspective of cultivation, it can be divided into 7 realms: Qi refining, foundation establishment, Zifu, Jindan, Yuanying, Yuanshan, and transcending tribulation. From the realm of the Tao, it can be divided into 7 realms: intangible, tangible, transforming star, Tao domain, law, world, and creation. Basically, after cultivators reach the nascent soul stage, the realm of the great Tao is at the same level as the cultivation base. Like Qin Zhan and Qingwei Taoist sect master Yi Tianqi, Yuan Ying's cultivation base has reached the 6th world realm of the Tao realm. Strictly speaking, they should be called the half-step Yuanshan stage. The so-called Yuanshan Dao Jun. Compared with the Yuaning Zhenjuan, it is mainly reflected in 3 changes, namely the soul, the realm of the avenue, and the physical body. The threshold of the physical body is the simplest. By condensing the indestructible real body, you can have the physical foundation to enter the primordial spirit stage. Compared with the physical body, the Tao realm is much more difficult. True monarch nascent soul needs to break through from the realm of laws to the realm of the world, not only need to comprehend the 3 complete Tao laws, but also need the fusion of the 3 Tao laws to be more than 50%. And this is only the premise for Yuanying Zhenjuan to break through the world realm. It is not known whether he can break through the world realm. Once Yuanying Zhenjuan has reached this stage, it will be Qin Zhan and Yi Tianqi. They are the top existences among Yuanying Zhenjuan, and they are also called World Realm Zhenjuan or simply called it by the outside world. Half-step Yuanshan Dao Jun. But, the most difficult level to break through to the primordial spirit stage is neither the physical body nor the Tao realm, but the spirit. The transformation of the soul is the most difficult level for a monk in the Yuanying period to step into the Yuanshan period. This is also the reason why the competition between the major sects is so fierce when they face Tianyi Xinshui. Because whether it is Yi Tianqi or Qin Zhan, as long as he obtains Taiyi Xinshui, it is very likely that he will break through to the Yuanshan stage. And such a heaven-defying treasure, Chen Daoxian used it to save his 13th uncle. This is also because the major sects of Xianyun continent do not understand the situation, otherwise if they knew, Taiyi Xinshui actually used to save a qi refining cultivator, and it is estimated that they would be so angry that they vomited blood. For the sake of a treasure like Taiyi Xinshui, how many Yuanying Zhenjuan died? Qin Zhan and Chen Daoxian were able to grab it, and they were still convinced. After all, Qin Zhan's last blow that spurred Yu Huangzhong to explode completely stunned everyone. Treasures can be obtained by the strong, which is also the default unspoken rule of the Xiao Xian world. But this treasure was neither used by Chen Daoxian nor Qin Zhan, but was given to a qi-refining cultivator. If other nascent soul true monarchs knew about this, how could they accept it? Chen Daochu said in his mouth. Chen Daoxian is about to break through to the world realm, which is based on his own understanding of the world realm. It sounds very nonsense that a cultivator of the Zifu period understands the details of the world, but in the Chen family, this is nothing at all. The cultivators of the Chen family may not be high in cultivation and Dao realm, but their theories are not low, otherwise they will not be able to graduate in clanology. The Chen family's clan education was not started in vain. As the Chen family system became more and more perfect, those who did not receive complete clan education in the early years also all returned to clan for re-education. In this regard, Chen Daoxian agrees very much. The family education of the Chen family is the greatest benefit to the children of the family. At that time, the Chen family was weak and had to squeeze the earliest monks of the Chen family. Now that the Chen family is rich, of course, these benefits should be doubled to the Chen family cultivators in the early years. Chen Daochu is also one of them. Although Chen Daochu's accomplishments in refining weapons are extraordinary, his theoretical level in cultivation is really limited. Therefore, before leaving the family, Chen Daoxian forced the other party to return to clan studies for a year. Now it seems that Chen Daochu's theoretical level has improved a lot, and he actually knows the knowledge of the world. Seeing the faint smile on Chen Daoxuan's face, Chen Daochu blushed immediately and said, "Patriarch, don't think that I am only at the first level of the Dao realm, but my theoretical test when I graduated from the clan school was full." "Oh, then tell me, why does the world need a lot of power of creation?" Hear this question. Chen Daochu was suddenly full of confidence and raised his head. The so-called world realm means that a true monarch monk opens up a small world. The biggest difference between this small world and our common cave world is that it has to be endless. Chen Daochu paused, and the small world just opened up is not only small in size, but also in a state of chaos. For a true monarch who has initially stepped into the world, the first thing he has to do is to repeat the geomantic fire and let the world gradually give birth to life. After the small world gives birth to life, it is time for the power of creation to play its role. All right, Chen Daoxian waved his hand, you say it all the way, why is the Dao realm in the first realm? This, Chen Daochu touched the back of his head, Patriarch, you know me well, I'm stupid in talent, and my speed is slow in my practice. In addition, I have a bunch of things at the Institute of Magical Instruments in my hand, so I naturally spend more time practicing on weekdays. Less so. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian said solemnly, at the beginning of the Dao, the way to practice is to persevere. I will let you take charge of the family's Magic Weapon Research Institute, but you must not waste your practice because of this, you know? Otherwise, I can only shove you down from the position of Dean of the Magical Instrument Research Institute. Hearing this, Chen Daochu shrank his neck and whispered, got it, Patriarch. Okay, let's try this cauldron. Chen Daochu was not a child, but an old man of the same generation as him, and Chen Daoxian just stopped there. Chapter 388. Clap la L above the cauldron, the spiritual stones in the storage bag poured down into the cauldron like a flood that burst a dike. As the spirit stones poured out, Chen Daoxian took the initiative to inject a mana into the ding. Under the urging of mana, the spirit stones in the cauldron quickly melted like ice and snow under the sun. But the strange thing is that after the ablation of the spirit stone, no aura escapes, and all the aura is trapped in the big cauldron. Aside. Chen Daochu stared at the cauldron with bright eyes, and said excitedly, who came up with this method, using the spiritual energy that should have preserved the power of good fortune as the driving force, to extract that trace of the power of good fortune in the condensed spirit stone? Saying that, he looked at the six-mouthed jade bottle below the 6 ears of Ding Ding. There are also these jade bottles, which seem to have nothing to do with this cauldron, but together with it form a cycle, extracting the condensed power of good fortune from the cauldron, and then recollecting it. Like the role of the array plate and array flag. Yes, it is the role of the formation plate and formation flag. Chen Daochu slapped his fists and his brows stretched. The person who made this magic weapon must be a genius weapon refiner. Although Chen Daochu's cultivation base is not high, as the head of the Chen Family Magical Instrument Research Institute, his vision is still very high. In particular, the Chen family's Magical Instrument Research Institute has the full support of Chen Daoxian. Compared with other cultivators of the Chen family, the researchers of the Magical Instrument Research Institute are the easiest to get the help of Chen Daoxuan's preaching. Influenced by Chen Daoxuan's frequent sermons, the Chen family's Institute of Magical Instruments lived up to expectations, laying a good technical foundation for the Chen family's various industrial production. Otherwise, the industrial production of Guanhai Xiancheng would never be so easy to build. After activating the cauldron, Chen Daoxian simply put away his hand, leaving only the spirit stone in the storage bag, still pouring the spirit stone into the cauldron. According to Chen Daoxuan's previous understanding of this cauldron, it would take about 10 million spirit stones to extract a drop of the power of creation. This tripod has 6 exits, and it can extract 6 drops of the power of creation at one time, which requires a total of 60 million spirit stones. 60 million spirit stones are nothing but a drizzle to the Chen family. Chen Daoxian and Chen Daochu are more concerned about how fast this cauldron can refine the power of creation. Since it was the first time refining, Chen Daoxian was not sure. The only thing he is sure of is that the speed at which this cauldron can refine the power of good fortune is much faster than the speed at which true monarch Yuanying can refine the power of good fortune. On the one hand, the consumption of this cauldron is even greater, 10 times higher than that of Yuanying Zhenjuan. The most important thing is that the Jiang family can be promoted to a 7th-order middle-grade magic weapon, which proves that the Jiang family has extracted a considerable amount of fortune from this cauldron. Moreover, this cauldron was not complete before, and the Jiang family had already refined a lot of the power of good fortune. It can be seen that the speed at which this cauldron refined the power of good fortune was astonishing. 6 full days. Chen Daoxian and Chen Daochu both remained motionless and stood in front of dating. The storage bags above the cauldron were replaced one after another. Within 6 days, a total of 60 million spirit stones were put into the cauldron, but all that remained was melted away. At the same time, in exchange, the 6 exits of the big cauldron exude the power of creation of Ying white light. Drop. 6 drops of the power of good fortune dropped into the jade bottle directly below at the same time. Chen Daoxian stepped forward and looked down at the chalcedony-like power of creation at the bottom of the jade bottle, his face full of joy. Patriarch, this cauldron is really a treasure, and 1 drop of the power of good fortune can be extracted in 1 day. With this cauldron, it is equivalent to having more than 300 nascent soul true monarchs refining the good fortune for my Chen family day and night. Power. Chen Daochu said with a look of excitement. In his opinion, the power of good fortune is really too powerful, and the power of good fortune can all be used to promote magic weapons, spiritual armor, and spiritual roots. When Chen Daoxian stepped into the world and opened up a small world, it would also consume a lot of the power of creation. In fact, in the real world of immortality, there is no one who is a lone cultivator. The main reason is that there are too few ways for loose cultivators to obtain resources. When the cultivation base is low, you only need to worry about common resources such as spirit stones, medicinal pills, and magic weapons. If there is any loose cultivator who has a chance against the sky and enters the nascent soul stage step by step, he must also need precious resources such as the power of good fortune. As for the precious resource of the power of creation, there is no major force behind it to rely on. How many loose cultivators can obtain it in large quantities? Even if an existence like Chen Daoxian, which is equivalent to a top true monarch, uses the convenience of war to rob everywhere, he can only get a few hundred drops of the power of good fortune. And Qin Zhan just waved his hand and lent him more than 2,000 drops of the power of creation. Looking at it this way, there is a big force behind it and there is no big force behind it, and the judgment is made. Speaking of which, Chen Daoxian was not a loose cultivator, and at least he had the Chen family, the #1 clan in Sangzhou, to rely on. If Chen Daoxian really wanted the power of creation and exchanged spirit stones at all costs, it would definitely be 100 times easier than the true monarch of loose cultivation. And how hard the sanctuary true monarch is, you can see how many Yuaning true monarchs who worked hard for the Qianyuan sword sect. In Wanxinghai, there are nearly 500 Yuaning true monarchs who were born in loose cultivators, but almost all of them worked hard for the Qianyuan sword sect on the front line. Looking at the major Yuaning families, how many Yuaning true monarchs fought to the death for the Qianyuan sword sect on the front line of Izumo? Why? It's not that the major nascent soul clans in Wanxinghai are rich and powerful, and even if the ordinary children of the clan participate in the war, they are the backbone of these families, and they don't dare to go to the front line to take risks. After all, to go to the front line of Izumo Kingdom, you need to fight with monks of the same rank. Even if the true monarchs of the major nascent soul clans are highly cultivated, it is difficult to guarantee that they will not fall. In the battle between Qianyuan Jianzong and Xianqing Daomeng, the Yuaning Zhenjuan on both sides suffered heavy losses. Don't look at Chen Daoxuan's crushing beheading of Yuaning Zhenjuan all the way, that's because his strength is too strong. Changed to Wan Xinghai's sanctuary true monarch, the situation would be very different. Wan Xinghai's scattered cultivation real monarchs are not as good as the real monarchs of the Xianqing Dao League, plus the gaps in the realm of the avenues and the magic tools. It often takes several true cultivators to compete against a Yuaning cultivator of the Xianqing Dao League. Even so, there were nearly 500 true cultivators who could not stand Wan Xinghai's scattered cultivation. So many nascent soul true monarchs were indeed a decisive force that could change the situation on the battlefield. This battle, as Qianyuan Jianzong expected, completely eliminated the forces of the Xianqing Dao League from Izumo. However, after the power of Xianqing Dao League was cleared out of Izumo, Qianyuan sword sect did not press on step by step, and moved towards the local sphere of influence of Qianyuan sword sect. It's not that Qianyuan Jianzong is afraid, but considering that the complete capture of the Xianqing Dao League will inevitably trigger a series of bad chain reactions. For example, all the major sects near the Xianqing Dao League are in danger and form an alliance to fight against the Qianyuan sword sect. This is not the situation Qianyuan Jianzong wants to see. Gu Jian after this battle, coupled with the destruction of Chen Daoxian and Qin Zhan in the Qingwei Taoist faction, the backbone of the Xianqing Taoist League was broken by the Qianyuan sword sect. If there is no accident, the future Xianqing Dao League will no longer be able to compete with Qianyuan Jianzong. At this point, instead of being aggressive and forcing the major sects to unite, Qianyuan Jianzong might as well let the Xianqing Dao League go temporarily. At this time, the weak Xianqing Dao alliance has occupied a vast and fertile territory, which is bound to attract the covetousness of the surrounding sections. At that time, the major sects will swarm up and completely divide the Xianqing Dao League. What Qianyuan sword sect is waiting for is this opportunity. Chen Daoxian guessed what the other party was thinking when he learned that Chen Shui, the concubine of the Qianyuan sword sect, had left the border of the Cloud Country. Since he could guess Fei Chengshu's thoughts, there is no reason why the major sects around the Xianqing Dao League couldn't guess the plan of Qianyuan sword sect. But the great thing about Fei Chenxue was that even if the major sects guessed the thoughts of Qianyuan sword sect, it would be of no use. In the face of the Xianqing Dao League, which is so weak and occupies a huge territory, which sect can resist and take a bite? Even if someone with a long-term vision can see the plan of Fei Chenxue, but under the selfishness of human nature, who can give up the interests of their mouths? As long as one party is unruly, the alliance of the major sects will be categorically unsuccessful. This is Yang conspiracy. Compared to Chen Daoqi's excitement, the excitement on Chen Daoxuan's face was not inferior at all. Because Chen Daoxian knew that the effect of the power of creation on him was almost comparable to that of Jie Yuanzhu. Thinking of this, he turned to look at Chen Daochu and asked, Daochu, before I go to Izumo, I will explain to you what you have done. How are you doing, herd? Chen Daochu was stunned for a moment, then remembered something, and said, Patriarch, do you mean to buy Jie Yuanzhu from Qianyuan Jianzong? Chen Daoxian nodded. Chen Daoqi's face immediately collapsed and he complained, Qianyuan Jianzong's item refining hall is too stingy. As far as I know, Qianyuan Jianzong has hoarded a lot of Jie Yuanzhu, but it is reluctant to sell it to the outside world. The people at the refining hall told me that they do not sell Jie Yuanzhu to the outside world, they only sell Dongtian artifacts. In the end, I was the one who rubbed the hard bubbles, and finally bought some Jieyuan beads at a high price in the other party's hands. With that said, Chen Daochu took out a storage ring from his arms and handed it over. For more than a year, all the Jieyuan beads I bought from the refining hall are here. Chen Daoxian took the storage ring and said, Thank you for your hard work. The Qianyuan Jianzong's item refining hall does not sell Jie Yuanzhu to the outside world, because we are worried that our Chen family will also refine the Dongtian artifact and the market for the other party's Dongtian artifact. Hearing this, Chen Daochu sneered, Dongtian magic tools are at least fourth-order magic tools, and our Chen family does not have this ability for the time being. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian smiled and said, You also said that it is temporary. Our Chen family cooperated with Yuanshan Xiancheng to sell medium and low-level magic tools in Wanxinghai. The people in the Qianyuan Sword Sect Refining Hall are not fools. Since we can do the business of middle and low-level magic tools, there is no reason why we can't get involved in the high-level magic tool business in the future. But didn't you say, Patriarch, that my Chen family would not be allowed to set foot in the high-end magic weapon market for the time being? Chen Daoxian looked at him angrily, and said, Have you never heard of what it means to be here and there? At that time, the strength of my Chen family was weak. Whether it was high-end combat power or family background, how could I ensure that I would not be secretly retaliated by other forces after entering the fourth order or higher magic weapon and medicine pill market? Hearing this, Chen Daochu suddenly woke up. Yes. The Chen family is different today. Even the aggressive Jiang family was beheaded by Chen Daoxian as the head of the family in Jie Xiancheng, but they didn't even dare to let go, not to mention the other nascent soul families. If you have to make a simple ranking of the forces of Wanxinghai, there is no doubt that the first place is Qianyuan Jianzong, but Qianyuan Jianzong itself is a combination of interests, and its interior is not united. For example, the factions of Fei Qinxue and the Third Elder Yi Yin clashed with each other, and the neutral forces such as Huyanqi did not help each other. In Wanxinghai, unless there is a force that offends all the forces of Qianyuan Jianzong at the same time, this will cause Qianyuan Jianzong to agree to the outside world and completely destroy it. In addition to Qianyuan Jianzong, in today's Wanxinghai, the forces of the major Yuanying families are the most powerful, such as the Jiang family, the Ji family and the Qin family who occupy a state. That's right, the Qin family's heritage may be lacking compared to the Jiang family and Ji family's old nascent soul family, but in terms of combat power, especially high-end combat power, they can crush the opponent. Otherwise, there would not be a situation where Chen Daoxian beheaded the other's patriarch alone in the Jiang family, but no one in the Jiang family dared to stand up to resist. In the world of immortality, the weak can only accept the bullying of the strong. This is the case among the sects, among the immortal families, and even among the monks. Chen Daoxuan's strength is stronger than the Jiang family's 3 nascent soul true sovereigns combined, so he can act recklessly, especially since Chen Daoxuan's killing of Jiang Taiyuan this time occupies a moral high point, and no one can fault him at all. Seeing Chen Daoqi's thoughtful look, Chen Daoxian patted the other party's shoulder and said with a smile, Forget it, you don't have to think about these things, Dao Yan will handle these problems, you just don't let your own cultivation base fall, and take good care of the Magical Instrument Research Institute. Hearing this, Chen Daochu was rather embarrassed. He has been in charge of the Magical Instrument Research Institute for a long time, and his ability to deal with the outside world is indeed much worse than that of other cultivators of the Chen family who have been trained outside, let alone compared with Chen Daoyan, who has long been in charge of the Chen family. However, Chen Daoxuan's training direction for each senior member of the Chen family was originally different. Like Chen Daochu, he trained him according to the direction of researchers. What Chen Daoxian wanted was Chen Daochu's purity in the field of magic weapon research. Because Chen Daoxian knew in his heart that only with a pure mind can he go a long way in refining weapons. Farewell to Chen Daochu. Chen Daoxian quickly returned to his secluded room with De Ding. This time, he will use the Dao-derived function of the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic again to see if he can reproduce the refining method of the cauldron. Back in the true immortal origin realm, he used the Dao extension function to reproduce the scene of a giant axe beheading the true immortal realm demon thousands of years ago. Now, he can completely use this big cauldron in his hand to reproduce the picture of the predecessors refining this big cauldron. Certainly. As a new function of the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic, breaking through to the third level, the way of evolution is also a very large consumption of understanding stars. At the beginning, Chen Daoxian only reproduced the brief scene of the giant axe swinging the axe to split the true immortal origin realm, which consumed a lot of comprehension stars. And the time it takes to refine a fourth-order magic weapon is not known to be longer than the time it takes for a giant axe to swing an axe to open the sky. Therefore, it needs to consume a lot more comprehension stardust. And in Chen Daoxuan's sea of consciousness at this time, except for a star core revolving around the golden scriptures, there is no comprehension stardust. Although he can still accumulate a stardust of comprehension every day, but people who are used to eating big fish and meat, how can they go back to the days when they used to eat bran and veggies? Chen Daoxuan's accumulation of comprehension stardust now does not rely on reciting the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic every day to accumulate, but relying on the chaotic energy in the Jiuanzu. Thinking of this, he quickly took out the storage ring he got from Chen Daochu and opened it. Chapter 389. 317, which is really few, and Chen Daoxuan's spiritual sense swept over the storage ring and raised his head. All are the Jiayuanzhu left over after the death of the base-building stage demon. Seeing this, Chen Daoxian couldn't help feeling speechless for the stinginess of Qianyuan Jianzong's refining hall. But speechless is speechless, something is better than nothing. There is only one star core left in the sea of knowledge revolving around the golden scriptures, and Chen Daoxian has no sense of security in the state where he has no comprehension and stardust. Think about this. Chen Daoxian immediately absorbed the chaotic energy in the more than 300 Jyuan beads. The air of chaos was transformed by the golden scriptures, and quickly transformed into stardust of understanding, which was automatically absorbed by the star cores revolving around the golden scriptures. Soon, the naked star core became full again. Feeling the comprehension of the stars growing little by little, a heartfelt sense of satisfaction welled up in Chen Daoxuan's heart. If one standard unit is the amount of comprehension stardust consumed by 100 times of comprehension in one day, there are about 3 standard units of comprehension stardust in Chen Daoxuan's sea of consciousness at this moment. But if it is used to spread the Tao, Chen Daoxian can't guarantee how long it will last. Because of this function, Chen Daoxian has only used it once so far, that is, he used it in the real immortal source realm, analyzing a mysterious axe-wielding powerhouse who did not know how many thousands of years ago, and splitting the real immortal source realm with one blow screen. This picture, so far, is still stored in the depths of Chen Daoxuan's sea of consciousness. From Chen Daoxuan's point of view, the axe of this giant axe is extremely mysterious, far from what he can understand now. However, he had created his own sword art before, but he benefited a lot from this move. It's just that the sword technique he created at the beginning was too far apart from the 3 laws of formation combined with the power of the mind, and Chen Daoxian didn't use this sword technique much anymore. But he didn't think that the path of creating his own sword art was wrong. On the contrary, he felt that it was an opportunistic behavior to use the formation method to forcibly integrate the laws. Such forcible fusion of the laws is indeed extraordinary, but his own understanding of the fusion of laws is not thorough, or even half understood. If it goes on like this, there may not be any problem in a short time, but the further back, the more difficult it will be for him to move forward. Of course, all of this is not what Chen Daoxian has considered for the time being. All he wants now is to do everything possible to improve his own strength. Because Chen Daoxian had a sense of crisis from beginning to end. Don't look at the Qianyuan sword sect taking the whole territory of Izumo, but it is still unknown whether the Xianqing Dao League and the surrounding major sects will unite. Even if all this is as Fei Chenxue expected, the other party will not unite together. Chen Daoxian also has another concern, that is, Qianyuan Jianzong exposed the existence of Emperor Yuzhong this time. You know, the Emperor Yu Bell is a pure yang fairy weapon. This fairy artifact is different from Chen Daoxuan's Star Sword Dao map and Qin Zhan's Six Paths reincarnation banner. It is a perfect state artifact. If this immortal artifact was leaked by the Xianqing Dao League or the three major sects present at the time, it would be a disaster for Qianyuan Jianzong. At that time, not only Yuanshan Daojun, I am afraid that even Du Jie Tianzuan may come to Qianyuan Jianzong to win the treasure. Although these Yuanshan Daojun and Du Jie Tianzuan will not invade Wangxinghai with great fanfare, but privately, like Chen Daoxian and Qin Zhan, raiding Qianyuan Jianzong is always inevitable. Yuanshan Daojun even robbed Tianzuan of the immortal artifact. What kind of conflict would break out, Chen Daoxian could not imagine. But it must be 100 times more intense than he and Qin Zhan attacking the Qingwei Daoist faction. At that time, as the top force of Wan Xinghai, will the Chen family be able to be alone? He couldn't guarantee it. Only by strength, and only by constantly improving his strength, can Chen Daoxian keep the Chen family and the relatives and friends he cherishes. This is also the reason why Chen Daoxian saw the drawbacks of using the power of the formation to forcibly integrate the law, but still did not correct it. Let go of the thoughts in your head. Chen Daoxian took out the big tripod from the storage ring again, and used the derivation function on it. This moment. Time seems to be going backwards fast. Around Chen Daoxian, pictures flickered rapidly, and after some time, the picture in front of Chen Daoxian was finally frozen. This is a world full of spirit. A monk with his back turned to him, wearing a lavender robe, was sitting cross-legged in a mountain stream. Suddenly, the purple-robed monk stood up and glanced back. When Chen Daoxian met his eyes, he only felt that the sea of consciousness was reversed for a while. With just a glance of time, Chen Daoxuan's sea of consciousness was almost torn apart by the other party. Fear. Horrible. Chen Daoxuan's heart couldn't help shaking violently. What a fairy. Absolutely fairy. Chen Daoxian held his breath. Fortunately, the golden scriptures were as powerful as ever. His peep from the ants on the other side of the long river in the future was not discovered by this true immortal. Moreover, the golden scriptures also stabilized his chaotic sea of consciousness. This time, Chen Daoxian finally calmed down. Although he couldn't tell the strength of the true immortal powerhouse, he somehow got a sense from the golden scriptures. The strength of this purple-robed true fairy is even more terrifying than that of the giant axe powerhouse. Could it be that he created the cauldron that extracted the power of creation? The screen continues. The purple-robed monk waved his hand gently, and a space crack appeared in front of him. Different from Chen Daoxian tearing the space, after the purple-robed cultivator tore the space crack, there was a dark void on the opposite side. This is where. Chen Daoxian was stunned. A bold guess suddenly appeared in Chen Daoxuan's mind, this is not Fengyun realm. Could it be that this is the world opened up by this true immortal? Emperor Yu and Emperor Shi have all left. I have been in the Phoenix world for thousands of years. It's time to leave. Zipeo Zhenxian muttered. After all, 7 monks suddenly appeared in front of him. The aura of these 7 monks was amazing, and what was even more terrifying was that Chen Daoxian could not see the cultivation of these 7 people at all. You must know that he can have a Dao realm close to the world realm. Even if Yuanshan Daojun is in front of him, Chen Daoxian will not be able to recognize the other party's cultivation. To make him unable to see the depth of his cultivation, there is only one possibility, the creation realm. In other words, these 7 people are actually transcending tribulation heavenly venerate. At the same time, seeing the 7 big robbery masters, if they were other people, they were probably scared and stupid. However, after Chen Daoxian seeing the baptism of the true immortals several times, he was numb to seeing the big robbery. Ancestor. The 7 people suddenly appeared in front of the Zipeo true immortal, and their expressions were slightly stunned at first, and then they knew that they and others were forcibly moved by their ancestors, and they all bowed and saluted. Gu Xing. When Chen Daoxian heard the name of the ancestor, he made a judgment in his heart. Generally speaking, the sect forces call those in charge either the sect master, the head teacher, or the elders, and very few call the ancestors. Those who can call it that are usually only the power of the Xiuxian family. Just when Chen Daoxian was thinking about it, the Zipeo Zhenxian spoke again. I have paid for the cause and effect of the Phoenix Fallen Realm. Please remember to practice hard and create less cause and effect. I will wait for you in the upper realm. Everyone's eyes were red when they heard that the ancestors were going to soar. One of the silver-haired monks choked and cried, Ancestor, after you leave, what will happen to the war between my Phoenix Meteor Realm and the True Demon Realm? The Zipeo Zhenxian shook his head. Although there are many strong people in the real demon world, it is much more chaotic than our Phoenix world, so it's nothing to worry about. Old ancestor, we can't bear you. Wu dash, this sentence actually caused the 7 heavenly venerates to mourn and cry. In the 9-layer thunder tribulation period, one is sad and the other is sad. From ancient times to the present, there have been many heavenly reverends who have crossed the river like Crucian carp crossing the river, but how many people can become the true immortals of Mahayana and ascend to the upper realm? Maybe this parting is forever. How can this make the Jiang family Tianzuan, who grew up under the wings of the Zipeo true immortal, not feel very sad? Seeing those who have been with him for tens of thousands of years, the Jiang family Tianzuan who have been following him since the little children cry, the eyes of the Zipeo Zhenxian also become a little melancholy. He stroked the head of a female cultivator of the Jiang family and sighed, Cheer! Cheer! Ancestor! Ancestor! The cultivators couldn't bear it any longer, and they all knelt down at the feet of the ancestors of the Jiang family, kowtowing incessantly. After a long time, everyone stood up. After venting their emotions, everyone knew in their hearts that it was a foregone conclusion that the ancestor of the Jiang family flew to the upper realm, and even if he wanted to stay, Fengyun realm would not be able to accommodate him. The ancestor of the Jiang family glanced at the sky, his eyes penetrated the barriers of this world, and saw the world that was constantly ups and downs in the endless void. Then, he looked at the crowd again. Before leaving, let's give you one last little gift. One of the monks in the crowd endured the grief and cupped his hands. Old ancestor, please order. Zipeo Zhenxian smiled casually. I saw him raise his hand, across the world barrier, grabbed the void outside the world barrier, just one breath, a mass of creation force was drawn from the endless void into the palm of his hand. Chen Daoxian stared blankly at the opponent's palm. There were at least tens of thousands of drops of this mass of fortune-telling power. This is also so perverted. But the rest of the Jiang family Tianzuan didn't know the purpose of the ancestors' move. Although the power of creation is rare for true monarch nascent soul, it is as easy as the palm of their hand for them to extract the power of creation from the spiritual stone. Although their efficiency in extracting the power of creation cannot be compared with that of the ancestors of the Jiang family, they are tens of thousands of times higher than that of true monarch Yuaning. Looking at the puzzled eyes of everyone, Zipeo Zhenxian continued, it is not difficult for you to extract the power of good fortune, but if the small world we opened up wants to upgrade, the demand for the power of good fortune is huge. At the speed at which you extract the power of creation, it is still too slow. Zipeo Jinxian paused and continued, I have created a new magic weapon that can automatically extract the power of creation. Although it costs a lot of spirit stones, it can save you countless hard work. Hearing this, everyone's eyes lit up. A small amount of the power of good fortune really has no effect on them, but a lot of the power of good fortune makes a difference. Not to mention them, even if their ancestors wanted to fly to the upper world, they had to pay off the cause and effect of the main world, Phoenix Meteor Realm. And what is used to repay the cause and effect of the Phoenix Meteor world is the power of creation. Speak up. This is also a very fair thing. The monks began to practice from the Chi-refining period, all the way to the Mahayana True Immortal, during which they consumed countless resources. And once a monk ascends to the upper realm, it means that he will take away a lot of matter and energy from this realm. If things go on like this, the main world will surely fall into the era of the end of the law when the spiritual energy is exhausted. In order to avoid this situation, every cultivator will extract the power of good fortune from the void to replenish it in the Phoenix Falling realm before ascending to the upper realm to repay the cause and effect of his cultivation in this realm. Only in this way, the world consciousness of Fengyun realm will release the Mahayana True Immortal. Don't look at the amazing strength of the Mahayana True Immortal, but if he wants to ascend to the upper realm, in addition to the upper realm's willingness to accept it, the lower realm is also willing to let it go. Otherwise, if the world consciousness of the Phoenix Meteor realm does not allow the Mahayana True Immortal to ascend, this Mahayana True Immortal can only stay in the Phoenix Meteor realm for a lifetime. Normal situation. The world consciousness of the Phoenix Meteor realm would not do such a thing, because the Mahayana True Immortal was like a whale in a lake to a main world like the Phoenix Meteor realm. The lake is too small, the whales are too big, and every time the Mahayana True Immortal stays, the Phoenix Meteor realm will bear a huge amount of pressure. Zipeo Jinxian saw the expectant eyes of everyone, and said with a smile, I named this instrument Qingmu Ding, which means that it will never end. This is the method of refining. You should take good care of it. Zipeo Jinxian stretched out his palm, and spirit or after another was decomposed in his palm, and impurities and spirit or essence were automatically separated, but unfortunately, the opponent's palm did not have the slightest flame. The rank of the Qingmu Ding is middle grade 4, and it is quite simple to refine. With your refining methods, you can refine a tripod in at most 4 or 5 days. Zipeo Jinxian continued. But Qin Daoxian was not going to continue watching, because he found that in just one stick of incense, half of the comprehension stardust in his sea of consciousness had been consumed. Listening to the meaning of the Jiang family Mahayana True Immortal, this cauldron has to be refined for several days. How much comprehension stardust will it consume in a few days? Forget it, he is temporarily unable to supply the consumption of these comprehension stardust, so he can only give up temporarily. Withdrew from the state of Yen Dao, Qin Daoxian found that he had only analyzed the 17 kinds of spiritual or materials for refining Qingmu cauldron. These 17 kinds of spiritual or materials are not difficult to find, the key is the refining method of the purple-robed real fairy. With Qin Daoxian's current level of refining, if he can read it completely, he can almost try refining. Although his artifact refining level is not high, his formation realm is very high, and if he is only refining 4th order mid-grade artifact, he has a very high degree of confidence. Of course, the premise of all this is to get a lot of Jia Yuanzhu. Looking at the 1.5 units of comprehension stardust left in the sea of consciousness, Qin Daoxian suddenly had the idea of breaking through the world. Now, if Qin Daoxian's strength wants to continue to improve, there is only one way to break through the world. With the help of Shengyi Wangguo, his cultivation base has been promoted to the late stage of Jindan, and it is difficult to improve in the short term. The same is true for the cultivation of the physical body, relying on the kung fu of the water mill. Only in the realm of the Tao, Qin Daoxian has 2 plugins of the Star Sword Tao map and the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic, which can quickly improve the realm of the Tao. For true monarch Yuanying, the world is as difficult as reaching the sky, but for Chen Daoxian, it doesn't seem to be that difficult. The fusion degree of the 3 high-level avenues has reached 50%, and he has already satisfied this condition. Under the blessing of 100 times of comprehension, it seems that it is not impossible to break through the world. Chapter 390. Chen Daoxian is not the day of procrastination. He estimated that the time to participate in the Qianyuan Sword Sect celebration ceremony should be enough for him to hit the world realm several times. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian used his divine sense voice transmission to explain to Luo Li, and began to concentrate on retreating and attacking the world. Break through from the 5th realm of the Dao realm to the realm of the world. In addition to the degree of fusion of the laws meeting the requirements, it is also necessary to use the fusion laws as the foundation, and the monk's Dao domain is flesh and blood, and a whole new world is opened up in the endless void outside the Phoenix Meteor realm. And the only medium between this world and the Phoenix Meteor world is the cultivator who opened up this small world. Opening up a world in the endless void is not an easy task. Although it is the endless void near the Phoenix Meteor realm. If the endless void is compared to a sea, Phoenix Meteor realm is an island in the sea, and the newly opened small world is a sea reef near the pier of this island. In the vicinity of Phoenix Meteor realm, there are so many such sea reefs that it is impossible to count them. Don't look at the many small worlds opened up by the monks, but there is not even a single world that can really grow into a main world like the Phoenix Meteor realm step by step. Near the Phoenix Meteor realm, most of the small worlds are dead places without any vitality. This indicates that the monk who opened up this world has fallen. The world it opens up will also collapse step by step, and eventually turn into nothingness under the scouring of the endless void. To a certain extent, the monks in the world are very similar to the world monsters. The only difference is that the source world opened up by the world monsters is in the body, while the small world opened up by the human monks is in the endless void. Moreover, the world created by the human race monks is much more powerful than the source world that the world demons cultivated step by step from the seeds of the world. Chen Daoxian had already kept in mind the essentials of breaking through the world. Next, is practice. Chen Daoxian thought for a while and took out the Michen banner. Although this flag can only be teleported within the realm and cannot be teleported across borders, it has the advantage of being able to lock the space coordinates, and the space coordinates it locks are limited. But Chen Daoxian only needs to use the space coordinates provided by it to return to the Phoenix world after he fails to open up the small world. With his current cultivation strength, he cannot be exposed to the endless void for a long time. According to legend, the endless void not only has a strong time and space turbulence, but also a place of absolute spirituality. It is very difficult to survive in the endless void for a long time until the cultivation base is not in the transcendence period. Chen Daoxian naturally did not dare to break through the world without any preparation. Benefit Michen Fan wrote down the spatial coordinates of the quiet room. Chen Daoxian called out the 3 immortal swords and slowly merged them into one. In the end, he controlled the golden giant sword to make a sharp stroke. Raised land. A void black hole appeared in front of him. Chen Daoxian did not dare to delay, and stepped into the void black hole one step. As he stepped into the void black hole slowly disappeared. I do not know how long it has been. Chen Daoxian only felt that he had fallen into darkness, the whole person was no longer divided into upper and lower, and the concept of time no longer existed. Is this the endless void? Chen Daoxian muttered. The next moment, he saw a huge ball of light. This ball of light is in a dark endless void, like a luminous torch, very conspicuous. A trace of connection made Chen Daoxian instantly recognize this huge ball of light. It is the main world where Chen Daoxian lives, the Phoenix Meteor realm. However, Chen Daoxian did not see any of the countless small worlds that were rumored to be close to Fengyun realm. Of course, now is not the time to wrestle with this issue. His cultivation base is limited, and he cannot expect to live in the endless void for a long time. He must open up a small world as soon as possible. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian slowly expanded his Dao domain. Since his cultivation, Chen Daoxuan's Dao domain is the same as his divine consciousness, which is more than 2,300 miles in diameter. The Dao territory with a diameter of 2,300 miles is barely enough to see in the boundary of Guang'an Mansion. If you look at the endless void, you can't even count a small speck of dust. Chen Daoxian came from the earth in his previous life. He didn't know how the universe where the earth was located was related to the endless void where the Phoenix meteor realm was located. Anyway, with the spatial scale of his Dao domain, whether it is in the earth universe or in the endless void, it is an extremely small existence. He now understands a little bit why he can see the glowing Phoenix realm, but he can't see the small worlds attached to the Phoenix realm. Let me ask, who can see the dust next to the giant celestial body? In the endless void. Chen Daoxian only felt that his body, including the mana within him, seemed to be pulled by an inexplicable force. After he stabilized his body, he found that the mana left his dantian a little bit uncontrollably. This situation surprised him suddenly. Because he found out that this pulling force did not come from elsewhere, but from the big ball of light in front of him, Phoenix meteor realm. Fengyun realm is absorbing his mana. At this moment, Chen Daoxian couldn't help thinking of the law of universal gravitation in his previous life. The Phoenix meteor realm, which is in the endless void, involuntarily absorbs the matter and energy in the endless void. Just like the cultivator's desire to become stronger, the world also has the instinct to upgrade. Suddenly, a kind of enlightenment appeared in Chen Daoxuan's heart. Seeing that his mana left his dantian little by little, Chen Daoxian didn't dare to delay any longer. In the endless void, the three laws that were integrated into one were once again integrated with his Dao domain. The Dao domain fusion law can only open up a new world in the endless void. In this way, the cultivator stepped into the sixth level of the avenue, the world realm. Chen Daoxuan's Dao law completely met the requirements, but his Dao domain, as a newly opened world, was too small. Such a small world may be unheard of among all world realm cultivators. Because there is no way that true monarch nascent soul's Dao territory is only 2,300 miles in diameter. In the Dao domain, the three fusion laws turned into a fireball, hanging high in the sky. Continuing to look out, a thin layer of world barriers is slowly taking shape. But this new world barrier, like a softened egg shell, is very fragile. Not to mention compared to the world barriers in the Phoenix meteor realm, even if a cheer-refining cultivator came, he could easily pierce it. But Chen Daoxian didn't care at all. The newly opened world was inherently fragile, and whether it was the world's barriers or the size of the world, it would be unsatisfactory. But as long as you step into the world, these deficiencies can be made up one by one. It's just that Chen Daoxian knows that in a short period of time, he can't lead foreign enemies into the world he created to fight like Yi Tianqi. Introducing a foreign enemy into this fragile new world is something that only a fool can do. Under the blessing of a hundredfold understanding, Chen Daoxuan's Dao domain and laws were integrated very smoothly. Once the fusion of Dao domain and law is carried out, it is irreversible. Next, is the long wait. Fortunately, Chen Daoxuan's Dao domain is very small, and the fusion of laws and Dao domain is also very fast. About a month. The fusion of Dao domain and law has reached the final stage. It's done. Chen Daoxian looked at the gray, shimmering little ball of light in front of him, and stepped into it with a thought. Kane as the creator of the world, Chen Daoxian had a different feeling when he entered the newly opened world for the first time. This new world is definitely different from the cave world. Even though its area may not be as huge as some cave days, it is a small world in an endless void. Except for being smaller, in essence, it is no different from the main world like Phoenix meteor realm. More importantly, this is the world he created. Stand in the middle of a small world. Chen Daoxian stood in the middle of a small world. Stand 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 in the Chen Daoxian looked at the gray and chaotic new world, and a burst of joy surged in his heart. Although it is small and broken, it is the foundation of one's own enlightenment. Chen Daoxian glanced at the sun above his head, and then looked at the entanglement of the gray air and the yellow turbid air. After thinking for a moment, he said, "From today onwards, I will call you Zuan Huangji." At the moment when Chen Daoxian was named, Zuan Huangji trembled slightly. Sure enough, the world is conscious. Chen Daoxian once again confirmed his guess. This is also the biggest difference between the world opened up by the monks and the cave world. Although the cave world is also called the world, it is dead. If there is no external resource supplement, it cannot achieve the circulation of matter and energy at all. That is, the monks often say that there is endless life. But the world opened up by Chen Daoxian is alive. Even if the turbid air of this world is not divided, it is still alive like a newborn baby. Even Chen Daoxian, as the creator, can feel the joy after its birth. Feeling the joy of Zuan Huangji, Chen Daoxian couldn't help but feel a little happy in his heart. But before he could indulge in joy, a sense of weakness hit him suddenly. Not good. Chen Daoxian found that his mana had bottomed out. You must know that although Chen Daoxian is in the Jindan stage, he possesses the treasure of the 6th grade good fortune White Lotus. In terms of the depth of mana, most of the true monarchs of nascent soul are far inferior to him. Even so, he still felt that the mana was almost exhausted. At this moment, the Xianhuang realm has just been born. Although it has spiritual energy, it is extremely thin and outrageous, and it is impossible to rely on it to supplement it. Of course, even if Zuan Huangji had sufficient spiritual energy, Chen Daoxian was reluctant to add it. Extracting spiritual energy from your own world is like spending your own money. Can you not feel bad? What's more, it's still early days. Without thinking too much, Chen Daoxian took out the Michin banner, sensed the spatial coordinates left by himself in the Phoenix Meteor realm, and disappeared in the Xianhuang realm in a flash. The figure reappeared. Chen Daoxian has returned to the quiet room. More than a month later. Chen Daoxian returned to the quiet room again, but he was already a monk in the world. A world realm cultivator at the Golden Core stage, Chen Daoxian estimates that this kind of achievement is absolutely unprecedented in the Phoenix world. Before he had time to be complacent, Chen Daoxian felt the weakness of Dantian again. So he calmed down, refined spiritual energy quietly, and accumulated mana. Shuanghu Island is the family home of the Chen family. The cultivator of the Chen family, who was not short of money, used the spiritual stone to promote the spiritual vein to the 5th rank abruptly. To be honest, the 5th order spiritual veins are somewhat wasteful for the Chen family whose highest cultivation base is only Jindan stage. However, the amount of spiritual stones spent to advance to the 5th order spiritual veins is only 1 billion. This was nothing to the wealthy Chen family. After all, Chen Daoxian hadn't cared about the financial situation of the Chen family for a long time, but through the continuous promotion of the family's spiritual veins, he could roughly see that the Chen family was really not bad at the moment. You must know that in Wan Xinghai, the promotion of spiritual veins is not a once-and-for-all thing. Because of the existence of Qianyuan Jianzong. Wan Xinghai's immortal cultivating family with spiritual veins has to pay taxes to Qianyuan Jianzong. When the Chen family was weak, they did not pay taxes to Qianyuan Jianzong, because his Chen family was not eligible to pay taxes at that time. In Wangxinghai, if the rank of the spiritual veins reaches the 2nd rank or higher, the spiritual vessel tax will be charged by the Qianyuan sword sect. Fortunately, Qianyuan Jianzong only collects the tax of spiritual veins. The main income of the Chen family comes from various trades, and the mere spiritual pulse tax, the Chen family doesn't care much. But the Chen family doesn't care, it doesn't mean that other cultivators don't care. Although the strength of the Chen family is now among the top families in Wan Xinghai. But compared with the nascent Soul clan with a long tradition, the biggest disadvantage of the Chen family is that the family is sparsely populated. Although the Qin family has been encouraging fertility since Qin Daoxian took power. In order to encourage the Qin family to have children, Qin Daoxian even did the business of buying female slaves from Izumo. But no matter how encouraged, the Qin family got rich late after all. Not to mention that compared with those nascent soul clans that have been inherited for a long time, the current population of the Qin family is still an order of magnitude worse than that of the Zhou family in Guang'an. As far as Qin Daoxian knew, the Zhou family, including mortals, had a population of about tens of millions. As for the Qin family, there are only a few million people. This population is really too small, which is very inconsistent with the status of the Qin family in Wanxinghai. But considering that the Qin family had a population of only a few thousand decades ago, it has grown to a scale of millions now. In less than 50 years, the population has doubled nearly 1,000 times, which is very exaggerated. There was a loose cultivator in Guanhai Xiancheng who joked that ordinary men in the Qin family would walk against the wall when they became adults. This shows how exaggerated the Qin family's policy of encouraging childbirth is. The outside world does not know. In Wanxinghai, another world realm cultivator was born. Just when Qin Daoxian consolidated his realm and restored and replenished his mana, the Cangzhou cultivator stationed at Zenangguan came back. Although there were not many Cangzhou cultivators coming back this time, the leaders of the major Cangzhou clans that Qin Daoxian was familiar with were all listed. Only. The first thing that these leaders of various ethnic groups in Cangzhou rushed back to Cangzhou was not to prepare to participate in the celebration ceremony of Qianyuan Jianzong, but to go to the Qin family collectively to visit Qin Daoxian. It can be seen that Qin Daoxuan's status in the hearts of Cangzhou monks is now. After several months, Qin Daoxian, who had replenished his mana, opened his eyes. With a slight sweep of his consciousness, he understood the general situation of the outside world. The next moment, Qin Daoxuan's figure suddenly disappeared. When his figure reappeared, he was already in the Qiming Hall of the Qin family. In the Hall of Qiming, Qin Fusheng, who had just returned to Shuanghu Island, stood in the main hall. When he saw Qin Daoxian, the excitement in his eyes flashed away, and he immediately knelt down and salute. Fusheng pays tribute to the patriarch. Finish the gift. Qin Fusheng stood up, looked at Qin Daoxian, and waited for orders. Chapter 391. More than a year later. Seeing Qin Fusheng again, Qin Daoxian couldn't help but have a heartwarming smile on his face. Compared to a year ago, Qin Fusheng, who experienced the battle to recover Zenangguan, looks more mature and stable. Fusheng, have you heard about the grand ceremony of the Qianyuan sword sect? Hearing this, Qin Fusheng cupped his hands and said, Patriarch, Fusheng already knows about this. He paused. Not only that, the patriarchs of the major families in Cangzhou have been waiting on Shuanghu Island for many days for this. Oh. Hearing this, Qin Daoxian looked at Qin Daoyan on the left with slight surprise. Seeing Qin Daoxian looking at her, Qin Daoyan smiled and said, the patriarchs of the major families in Cangzhou know that you are in retreat and dare not disturb them, so I will arrange for them to stay in Shuanghu Island for a few days. Qin Daoxian nodded. So, it's my Qin family who neglected me. In that case, it's time to invite the patriarchs of various clans to come here to discuss the celebration. Yes. Qin Daoyan nodded slightly. Then, she took out a communication talisman, and after giving a few words, she pocketed the communication talisman. Although Shuanghu Island belongs to the Qin family, the island area is not large. The patriarchs of Cangzhou who can set foot on Shuanghu Island have at least the cultivation of the Zifu period. With the elusive light of the Zifu period, it didn't take a moment for the patriarchs of the various clans in Cangzhou to arrive at the Qiming Hall. Speaking of which, this was the first time that the Qin family had invited a foreigner to come to the discussion hall of the Qin family, and the people who came were all the leaders of various forces in Cangzhou. Qin Daoxian looked at the people standing by His Highness. Zhou Mingho, Yang Linyuan, Henry Zhang, Zhou Mubai. At the beginning, all the people who were unattainable in the eyes of the Qin family, but now they are all standing respectfully in the Qin family's discussion hall, with the appearance of the Qin family's horses. Il see Patriarch Qin. When everyone saw Qin Daoxian, who was in the top seat, they did not dare to be slighted, and they all bowed and saluted. During the Battle of Izumo, Sangzhou cultivators all understood that with Qin Daoxian alone, the Qin family had completely established an unshakable dominance in Sangzhou. In the future, if each family in Sangzhou wants to mix in Sangzhou, they must look at the face of the Qin family. Everyone didn't feel any resistance, because in the world of immortals, they originally spoke based on their strength. The Qin family is now the undisputed number one in Sangzhou's strength, and naturally sits on this overlord. What's more, the news of Jiang's family in Taizhou has spread some time ago. Qin Daoxian personally beheaded Jiang Taiyuan, the head of the Jiang family, in front of thousands of Taizhou monks in Jiexiancheng. This matter caused a great shock in Wan Xinghai. Just when cultivator Wan Xinghai thought that Qianyuan Jianzong was going to use this as an excuse to clean up the Qin family and Qin Daoxian, he found that Qianyuan Jianzong had no response. It seems that the Jiang family died not the famous Yuaning Zhenjuan, but a little-known person. Qianyuan Jianzong's unpredictable attitude made monk Wan Xinghai speculate about the strength of the Qin family. Someone said, "The strength of the Qin family in Sangzhou has threatened the rule of Qianyuan Jianzong, so Qianyuan Jianzong did not dare to act rashly." Others say that Qin Daoxian is not only unfathomable in strength, but his potential is even more amazing, and Qianyuan Jianzong does not want to offend this person for the Jiang family. Anyway, after Jiang Taiyuan's death, Wan Xinghai's rumors spread, which also cast a shadow over the upcoming celebration ceremony of Qianyuan Jianzong. In the hall of Qiming, Qin Daoxian looked at the patriarchs of the various clans in the hall, raised his hand with a smile, and said, "Everyone is at Sangzhou cultivator, and they are all a family, so there is no need to be bound by vulgar etiquette." When everyone heard this, they all stood up straight and raised their heads to look at Qin Daoxian, who was in the high seat. Inside the hall, Zhou Mubai looked at Qin Daoxian, who was sitting high on the throne of the Qin family patriarch, and accepted the salute from everyone, and felt a dazed expression. Times have changed, but he never thought that the monk he met back then, who was not even in the foundation building stage, would actually grow into an existence that even he had to look up to. When Zhou Mubai faced Qin Daoxian, his feelings were very complicated. Qin Daoxian seemed to sense Zhou Mubai's gaze, turned his head and smiled kindly at him. Seeing this, Zhou Mubai hurriedly handed over, not daring to neglect at all. With the change of strength, the status of the two sides can no longer be called brothers as before. In fact, this situation is quite normal in the world of immortals. Unless there is a direct teacher or blood relationship between the monks, the seniority and status of each other are often determined by their cultivation base and strength. Based on Qin Daoxian's current cultivation in the late stage of Jindan, Zhou Mubai really had to call him a senior when he saw him. What's more, Qin Daoxian is not just a simple late Jindan cultivator. Even if Qin Daoxian himself is excluded, the Qin family behind him is now the largest clan in Sangzhou. Qin Daoxian has been away from the family for more than a year. Under the hard work of Qin Daoyan and others, the Qin family has completely monopolized the market of Sangzhou's instruments, elixir, and charms. Chapter 392. Qin Daoxian looked at Henry Zhang quietly without urging. Henry Zhang stood in the hall with his brows furrowed. Around, the discussions of the Qin family gradually stopped, and everyone looked at him, waiting for Henry Zhang to make a decision. A long time. Henry Zhang spit out a turbid breath, and said solemnly, "Zhang is willing to be the leader of the patriarch Qin, accepted." Seeing Henry Zhang agreeing, Qin Daoxian couldn't help showing a smile on the corner of his mouth. To eradicate Yi Yin and the Shouxian family behind him, Chen Daoxian had this idea after beheading Jiang Taiyuan. The reason is actually quite simple. Although Wanxinghai is nominally ruled by the Qianyuan sword sect, in fact, it is not the Qianyuan sword sect that really rules the Wanxinghai states, but the major immortal clans. For example, the Taizhou Jiang family, the Jingzhou Ji family, and the Hanzhou Ling family, etc., control the vast majority of resources and commerce in Wanxinghai. It is difficult for people from out of state to insert their hands into other states. For example, although the Qin family is the largest clan in Sangzhou, it is difficult to do business in Taizhou, Jingzhou and other surrounding areas, let alone Hanzhou, Yuzhou and other places farther away. Although the strength of Qianyuan sword sect is strong, the relationship between the senior members of the sect and the major nascent soul clans is inextricably linked, and they are constantly being cut off. It is simply unrealistic to want to have the constraints of destroying the Shouxian family. The elders of Qianyuan Jianzong represented by Yi Yin are typical platforms for the various immortal clans in Wanxinghai. Without destroying this power, it is almost impossible for Qianyuan Jianzong to achieve complete over Wanxinghai. From this angle, Chen Daoxuan's dealing with Yi Yin seems to be a very stupid thing, because he represents a family force and should stand with Yi Yin. Not so. The Chen family has grown to this point, and it has reached the ceiling like all the immortal cultivating families in Wanxinghai. If there is no major change, there is basically no further possibility. The Qin family wanted to go further. The first way is to learn from the Qi family of that year and expand the jurisdiction to the outer states. But it's a dead end. Although Qianyuan Jianzong has a complicated relationship with the Wanxinghai Shouxian clan, this bottom line will never be broken by Qianyuan Jianzong. Because once this opening is opened, the dominance of Qianyuan Jianzong will be completely shaken for hundreds of years at most. The second, more modest path, is to loosen state trade barriers. That's right. Don't look at Wanxinghai being under the rule of Qianyuan Jianzong, but in fact, with the Shouxian family's control over the states, it is difficult for non-local forces to intervene in other states. Just like the Jiang family did everything possible to extend their power to Cangzhou, but they were unanimously resisted by the Cangzhou families. This was still Cangzhou, a group of dragons without a leader at that time. In places like Taizhou and Jingzhou led by the Yuanying family, let alone other states to get involved. The only way to get involved is to let the Shouxian families in each state take the initiative to release trade protection. Don't look at the fact that Chen Daoxian has obtained a lot of foreign trade volume through Yuanqin Xiancheng, but compared with opening the local trade barriers of each state, this trade volume is not even a drop in the bucket. But to do this is not an easy task. Wan Xinghai's immortal cultivation family is not a soft persimmon without strength. Even if Qianyuan Jianzong wanted to move the power of the Shouxian family, he had to weigh it carefully. Not to mention that they are inside the Qianyuan sword sect, as well as high-level Yi Yin, who act as protective umbrellas for them. Therefore, Chen Daoxian wanted to cooperate with Fei Chenxue once. For his Chen family, it can open the trade barriers of the states. As for Fei Chenxue, it can completely remove the stumbling block for her to rule the Qianyuan sword sect. As for the relationship between the two after they have achieved each other's goals, that's a story. Perhaps at that time, Chen Daoxian had already broken through to the Yuanqin stage. Or, did Qianyuan Jianzong continue to expand its territory and ease the internal contradictions of Wanxinghai? These are unknown things. But right now, he and Fei Chenxue had the same goal. The next day, a large spirit boat rose into the sky, mighty, starting from Shuanghu Island and flew in the direction of the Qianyuan Jianzong Zongmen Station. A month later, Qianyuan Sword Sect. In a cave-like world like a fairyland, there are many immortal islands, and cranes and birds are flying freely. On the immortal island, the temples stand, a scene of the holy land of the immortal family. This cave world is one of the thousands of cave worlds in the Qianyuan Sword Sect, but compared to the cave worlds of disciples and elders, the area of this cave world is extraordinarily huge. It seems that it is almost comparable to some smaller states in Wangxinghai. In a fairy temple. A slender fairy, wearing a plain and elegant long brocade dress, caressed a pipa with light white fingers and fiddled with it. The sound of the pipa is like jade beads falling on a plate, crisp and clear. Suddenly, the pale jade fingers stopped, and Fei Chenxue raised her head, looked at a position in the hall, and sighed softly, "When you come to me, I never knock on the door, when can it be corrected?" The words fall. In front of Fei Chenxue, the space was slightly distorted. A white figure suddenly appeared. If not Qin Zhan, who is he? When Qin Zhan heard this, he immediately showed a smile on his face and said, "Forget it, next time, next time." Fairy Qi Yao was wearing a lavender gauze dress, and when she saw Chen Daoxian, she hurriedly bowed to him, and said with a smile on her pretty face, "Friend Chen Daoxian, my tutor is invited." Hear this. Chen Daoxian smiled and nodded. Fairy Lao is leading the way. Done. He shrouded the entire Cangzhou fleet with his divine sense, and said to everyone, "I'm going to see the sect master, everyone, please go ahead." Heard. Everyone bowed their hands to the spirit boat where Chen Daoxian was located. Follow the decree of the Patriarch Chen. Complete the orders. Under the leadership of Fairy Qi Yao, Chen Daoxian flew towards a cave world of Qianyuan Jianzong. There are countless cave worlds in the Qianyuan sword sect. If no one leads the way, it is easy to get lost. Certainly. With the formation realm of Chen Daoxuan's 6th order array mage, even if no one leads the way, this spatial confusion will not affect him at all. The two ran fast. Along the way, the two did not speak at all. When it was about to arrive, Chen Daoxian couldn't help but ask, "Does the fairy know what the sect master is looking for from me?" Hearing this, Fairy Qi Yao's pretty face blushed slightly and turned her head, "No. I don't know." There are already too many monks who are deeply involved with the Shouxian family, occupying a high position in Qianyuan Jianzong. It is impossible for Qianyuan Jianzong to completely abandon the influence of the Shouxian family. On the other hand, Qianyuan Jianzong also needs to rely on family power. Whether it is Wan Xinghai's more and more real demon world passages, or facing the foreign enemy of the Xianqing Dao League, the family forces are required to contribute. Therefore, Fei Chengshu's feelings towards Wan Xinghai's Shouxian family are quite complicated. Use it and guard against it. To this end, Fei Chenxue began to send troops out of the Cloud Country more than 400 years ago to support the scattered cultivators to counter the growing power of the family. So far, this seems to be a good move. With the rise of the scattered cultivator power, the family power has indeed felt an unprecedented crisis. This is also the case. In the past 400 years, the ties between the forces of the Wan Xinghai Shouxian family have become more and more close, and the confrontation between Yi Yin and Fei Chenxue has become more and more intense. Seeing Chen Daoxian frowning, concubine Chenxue said with a faint smile on her pretty face, "I don't know what position Chen Daoyu is standing on." Hearing this, Chen Daoxian smiled lightly. Could it be that the sect master forgot, he is also a member of the Cangzhou Shouxian family? Fei Chenxue shook her head. "With your talent, whether it is Qianyuan sword sect or Wan Xinghai's family power, it is not your restraint. You are the only one in Wan Xinghai who can jump out of the power struggle." Hear this. Chen Daoxian looked at her in surprise. Chen Daoxian did not expect that concubine Chengshu's evaluation of him was so high. But think carefully. Chen Daoxian has already reached the 6th world realm of the Great Tao in less than 100 years of cultivation. In the future, it is a sure thing for him to step into the primordial spirit stage or even the tribulation stage. How could such a peerless genius be bound by the small pond of Qianyuan Jianzong? One day, Qin Daoxian and the Qin family behind him will go to a higher world. It was because of seeing this clearly that Fei Qinxue did not have much hostility towards Qin Daoxian. Gu Wei, because from the beginning to the end, Qin Daoxian is not a competitor of Qianyuan Jianzong, and he is destined to stand at a higher level in the future. Hearing this sentence, Qin Daoxian finally knew Fei Chengshu's attitude. Sure enough, she was exactly what she thought. This kind of feeling of being in the same heart is very wonderful. Qin Daoxian nodded and said, I would like to be the leader of the suzerain. After receiving a positive reply from Qin Daoxian, concubine Qin Shuejiao smiled and said, Good. When does the sovereign plan to start? Since the external troubles have been settled, the internal troubles should be eliminated as soon as possible. I think this celebration ceremony is a good time. What do you think, Dao Yuchen? Fei Qinxue looked at him and said. Qin Daoxian thought for a while, then smiled and cupped his hands, just as the sect master said. After speaking, he seemed to think of something again and said, It's just. After my Qin family helped the sect master to eradicate the opposition forces of the sect, how should Qianyuan Jianzong and my Qin family get along? Qin Daoxian said these words very calmly. It doesn't look like what a Xiuxian family patriarch under the rule of Qianyuan Jianzong should say. His remarks completely placed the Qin family on the same level as Qianyuan Jianzong. Although the power of the Qin family is far from that of the Qianyuan sword sect, there is still a huge gap. But just because Qin Daoxian is one of the only 3 world realm cultivators in Wan Xinghai, and he is the youngest one, he is qualified to say such a thing. Because whether it is Qin Daoxian or Fei Qinxue, they all know that with Qin Daoxuan's talent, sooner or later, he will break through to the Yuanqian stage, and even this time will not be long. At that time, how can Qianyuan Jianzong order a family of Yuanqian Daojun? The relationship between the two parties is destined to no longer be a subordinate relationship. Both of them are well aware of this. Who knows that Fei Qinxue heard these rebellious remarks, not only was not angry, but smiled. Fengyun world is very big, in your eyes the vast Wangxinghai, looking at the entire Fengyun world, it is only a remote place. And the vast Phoenix meteor realm, looking at the endless immortal realm, is only a trivial world. Just like you and I, when you reach a higher level and look back at today's words, you will find it very ridiculous. Perhaps, by that time, neither Qianyuan sword sect nor Wan Xinghai will be taken seriously by you. Concubine Qinxue paused. I heard my junior brother say, you and he both accepted the inheritance of Wan Xinghai, right? Qin Daoxian nodded. This kind of thing is a secret to outsiders, but it is not a secret thing to Fei Qinxue. Based on the relationship between Qin Zhan and her, he would definitely tell each other. Although I have never participated in the inheritance trial of Wan Xinghai, I know that this is an inheritance trial used by a major force in the upper realm to assess the disciples. You say, compared to this immortal power, what is my Qianyuan sword sect? Concubine Chengshu's words made Qin Daoxian silent. Before he knew it, he had come to where he is today. Whether it is strength or potential, he can really suppress one side. With the Dao realm of his world realm, let alone in Wan Xinghai, even if he looks at the entire Fengyun realm, he is no longer a dispensable little person. You must know that since the war between the two realms has subsided, the heavenly venerate Du Jia has rarely been born. There is no time to care about the power struggle in Xianyunsu. In the eyes of Du Jia Tianzuan, battles between second-rate sect forces and even first-rate sect forces are meaningless things. What the heavenly venerate transcends tribulation seeks is to become a true immortal of the Mahayana, to ascend to the upper realm, and to live the same life as heaven and earth. Instead of nesting in the Phoenix meteor world, fighting each other for a resource that they have long despised. Because Du Jia Tianzuan knows that even if they obtain more resources from the Phoenix meteor realm, the more karma they will repay in the future. Low-level monks killed people and captured treasures, and used various resources to improve their cultivation, which seemed to be very lively. But they don't know that everything that fate bestows comes at a price. This kind of thing sounds illusory, but when it comes to the transcendence period of cultivation, it can be really felt. For heavenly venerate transcending tribulation, if they can avoid karma, try to avoid karma, otherwise it will be unfavorable for them to transcend tribulation. The situation of starting the two realms war is different. Ordinary tribulation cultivators consume resources to cultivate in the phoenix meteor realm, which is due to the cause and effect of this realm. The battle with the real demon realm in the Liangjiyuan battlefield is to prolong the life of the Fengyun realm that is being swallowed by the real demon realm. Although the fate of the fusion of the Phoenix Meteor realm and the true demon realm has been destined, doing so is considered to make the Phoenix Meteor realm owe the cultivator karma, which will be of great benefit to the cultivator who crosses the 9 heavens tribulation. People are like this, good things do not need supervision, they run faster than anyone else. Seeing that Qin Daoxian did not speak, a smile appeared on the corner of concubine Chengshi's mouth. Of course, if you are still worried about Qin Daoxian, our two families can be a good marriage. Marriage? Qin Daoxian was stunned, he couldn't help widening his eyes and murmured, is the sect master joking? What's the joke? Concubine Qinshue had a natural expression, the political marriage between the two of us will ensure that we will get along more harmoniously in the future, just like the Xianyang school and the Qingwei Dao school, which were originally the marriage of the ancestors of the two factions, in order to bring about an alliance between the two sides. But Qin Daoxian looked at Fei Qinshue carefully, and had to admit that Fei Qinshue was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. His Taoist companion, Luo Li, may have their own advantages in appearance compared to her, but in terms of temperament, Fei Qinshue is much better than Luo Li. Fei Qinshue was stunned by Qin Daoxuan staring at her. Suddenly, she thought of something, her pretty face flushed red, she stood up suddenly, and scolded, "You, what do you think?